All right, King Killers. In this episode, we cover chapters 77 through 81. We got a really good discussion on sympathy here. I have some big questions on what the limitations are, and I go through some of the ways that I would use it. And it's an issue we'd really like to find out more about in Book 3, Hangin Tough. We're also going to dive into my best guess as far as the historical significance of the Mauthen Farm territory and where the Chandrian pot came from. We're going to see Denna get blitzed and open up and reveal some secrets. And the draccus is going to go on a rampage looking to hump a fire as it's on its own massive meth binge. You're also going to get to hear Tim's hangover advice and what it reveals about him. We come up with absurd ways to describe sex with Felurian. And Tim gets very annoyed about something Fitz has been doing for 20 episodes, even though he was completely unaware of it until I told him about it last week. So sit back and enjoy.
Welcome back, all you killers, to the most above board and utmost killer broadcast, King Killer Podcast. I have returned from Oompa Loompa Palooza with a fresh perspective, and I'd like to remind any of our listeners who've never heard of a schnozberry that we are the music makers and we are the dreamers of the dreams. Tonight, I'm joined by Toe Jam Tim and Dan Druff. Why are you guys here?
I don't know. I have no idea why I do this.
It's beneath me.
I feel like I do it
like snozberries
to lift you guys up, so you guys are graced with my presence. That's mainly why. It's for your guys' benefit, not mine, certainly.
Wasn't there a rumor that the snozberries actually taste like genitals?
Yeah, only if they've been left out. But
okay.
What do you guys do at those Oompa Loompa conferences?
Outside of like molesting children.
Oh.
Yeah, no, we hang out in the woods.
That's what they do?
We hang out in the woods and
everybody knows that.
Praise Moloch. We praise Moloch. We have a effigy that we burn. It's pretty sick. It's disgusting, really.
Wow, nice. But you still go, huh?
You're like
well, it's tradition, man. I mean,
I'm indebted.
Yeah, you got traditions. You just kind of go with them.
No, it's not that. I'm forced to go.
Oh.
Don't you guys know anything about Oompa Loompas? We're not there of our own free will.
Okay.
Oh, it's not a choice. My bad. No. I didn't mean to offend you.
It's okay.
Well, now I feel bad.
That Willy Wonka's a motherfucker, man. He's really giving us a hard time. So I've been through it. It's all right. Mm-hmm. So speaking of that, chapter 77 is titled Bluffs.
Speaking of that, it just flew right in there together. It just slipped right in. It's perfect.
Chapter 77, titled Bluffs, starts off with Kavoth waking up on top of the Waystone archway with a stiffy. Denna lets him know that the draccus is gone. They notice smoke off in the distance and go to investigate, where they find a dead man in the ruins of his home. The draccus approaches, so the couple climbs a cliff and gets away. They discover a lookout and a makeshift lab for rendering Denna resin. Denna, unknowingly, eats a glob. Kavoth has her eat charcoal to negate the effects of the drug, but to Denna's delight, the dose is not deadly or even overly dangerous. As Denna drifts into euphoria, dementia, and eventually into a catatonic dream state, but not before discovering that the draccus is a crack addict and deciding to destroy it. Guys.
Yeah, he opens up pretty well with a nice little joke. Good Lord, you look like someone's arthritic grandfather. You know how it is, I said. You're always stiffest when you wake up. She smirked. We women folk don't have that problem as a rule. Her expression grew serious as she watched me. You're serious, aren't you? But I like the very mature morning wood joke thrown in right off the bat to get us started.
Well, I mean, when with her saying it, at the first read through, I probably didn't even pick up on it, and I'm like, oh, she's saying that he's got a Woody.
Yeah.
Well, it's pretty interesting because it goes right into, I rode about 60 miles yesterday before I met up with you. And it's like, oh, fuck, I forgot about that. Like, personally, I forget. And then, I thought, and I'm like, wait, he just got stabbed in an alley. Like, all this shit just went down, man.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
literally
down within like
just happened in 2 days.
Yeah, within 2 days, he gets stabbed, fucking rides to Draben, and then is fucking fighting a draccus.
Yeah, man. I mean, does some major,
it's a long weekend,
major legendary things. Yeah, through a long weekend.
Yeah,
it's absolutely nuts, man. And it's pretty great when Rothfuss throws those things in there just to like remind us, because I forget. It's like, oh shit, that's right. It's the little reminders that, oh yeah, this is a pretty eventful little tale that we're reading.
Yeah.
I like too when she's like, oh, she gasps, her hands go into her mouth. Your beautiful hands.
Yeah, the beautiful
like,
hands.
Motherfucker, he should have been wearing them fucking fingerless gloves.
Yep.
Fucking, he fucked up. Look,
well,
going bare hand. You got some fine ass hands like that. You got to protect them.
In this case, he should have been wearing the fingerless gloves and the finger nipples, or whatever we called those, the finger condoms. Yeah. He should have had both on. Taking care of his beautiful, just sexy ass
actually,
hands.
That's a good look. Fucking fingerless gloves with the finger nipples on there. Like, people would be like, why don't you just wear a glove?
Well, here's what he does.
Why do you cut the fingers off and then put them on?
No, but
I
what
like
he
to have
does
the
is
option.
he goes, well, no, what he does is he says, oh, you wonder, and then he takes out the loot, takes one off at a time, and then fingers it up.
It's like
and
it's like the pants.
Oh, look at you!
It's like those pants where you could unzip the bottom half of your pants and make them into shorts,
and then put them in your pocket.
Yeah,
in your cargo pocket.
Yeah, like,
so it looks like you got softballs in your pockets.
You think I got pants on? Well, wait until you see this shorts.
I can't believe I had a pair of those in high school. I never once unzipped them, but yes, you could, and they had cargo pockets.
Yeah, what's the fucking point of buying?
I don't know. I don't remember.
Into shorts if you're not going to utilize that. What a waste!
Honestly, I haven't thought of the pants since you brought it up, and I have no idea why.
It's like buying parachute pants and never doing the Running Man
hammer. Oh,
that's a good point.
Yeah,
or it's a point. Let's just say it's a point, not necessarily a good one, but.
And then too, I like the whole first part of this chapter is pretty funny when he's like, then Denna hung from the lip of the rock, and I grabbed her legs, letting her slide slowly. Despite the fact that I was bruised all the way down my front side, the experience did a lot to improve my mood. Rothfuss got a lot of, he's got, like, for as much as Kvothe will be like, oh, I would never do anything, inappropriate, he's still got that, like, fucking horny ass fucking 15-year-old mindset, even though he's above fucking taking a peek at a girl fucking splash around naked in a lake, but yeah, he's still got them horny impulses.
I didn't take a peek, but I did place my hands right in the right spot at the right time while she was climbing down.
These chapters are really quite great for Denna. How intelligent she is, how savvy she is. Yeah, she's awesome, man. And in these chapters, she's impressive because she outwits Kvothe time and again. Plus, she gets a little stoned. And I like a girl that is willing to loosen up a little bit. It wasn't intentional, but still. Yeah, I know, but still.
But I'm with you, Tim. Why wasn't Kvothe like, all right, maybe I'll do a little rip, just a little bump?
Yeah.
We were talking about that.
Do a little gummy.
Like, just rub it on his gums.
Like I wasn't sure how strong the resin actually was. Let me get just a little taste of that. Just a little taste.
Well, it's like every time I've seen like cop shows, like back in the day, they're like they do a quick hit. They're like, oh yeah, okay, round it up, Round it up, get him out of here.
That's the good stuff. Yep. Oh, my face is numb.
We got those.
That's how you know it's good.
Yeah, like in retrospect, like they're not just taking a little bit. It's a freaking big old rip. And they're like, all right, get him out of here. It's like, this dude's going to be high for the next, like, at least 20 minutes. Like, just ripping out. Where's that coat going? I know, he's getting a piece of that. He's like, you know what, that's real good shit. Let's get that in the trunk.
A lot of those movies are in the 80s, so you know they're probably fucking actually doing real bumps.
Yeah, one of the
like, how can
spiffs of being a cop
do cocaine while we're shooting this movie? Well, you just you find the cocaine,
make it about cocaine,
test it out, fucking rub some on your fucking rub some all over your face.
Look, bro, I'm a method actor. I don't fucking play games, man. If this is better be real. End up doing 30 takes in the next scene.
But yeah, these chapters are really good with Denna, and it's very similar to the chapters with Denna and Severin, especially the chapter where Kvothe and Denna go see the Celis flower. It's a very similar dynamic. It's really interesting. It's real good. It's good too because part of the reason I think we like it or people like it is that they seem to be getting closer. You see that chance that they might get together because ultimately that's what you'd like to see is that them to close that gap. And see, these chapters and that chapter are about as close as they get.
Well, in here
I like that.
At least Denna starts to spell it out for once.
Yeah.
Well, I like that, and I do see that similarity. But what I like about this group of chapters, in particular about Denna, is there's a lot of problem solving going on.
Yeah.
So we get to see that in her because we don't get to see that with her much. You know what I mean? I mean, she just kind of seems like the type of chick that just bails. Like she has very good instincts. That's why she doesn't get up, into, or at least, we get enough circumstances where it seems like she knows how to watch out for herself. She knows how to get out of situations. And we see that quite a bit throughout the two books. But here in particular, we get a good sense of her ability to problem solve and how intuitive she is. And the fact that she's able to do it when Kvothe is kind of not, I don't want to say, well, he's almost not on her same level in the sense of these chapters, at least. She's kind of beaten into the punch on some of the problem solving. Yeah, there's
multiple times, like when he, in the previous episode when we talked about where Kvothe was guessing that the Chandrian came to the wedding to steal the vase. Mm-hmm. And she's like, nah, it doesn't make any sense. Why they would have just waited and killed him after the wedding when you only got to kill the bride and the groom. You don't have to kill, 26 people. And so she was able to offer, but she was also going off of what he brought up. Like he brought up something and she built off of that. So she's kind of standing on his shoulders in those parts, but she is intelligent. She's able to kind of puzzle out some solutions that that he hadn't thought of or build out on his ideas and make them a little bit better.
Yeah, she flat out corrects him on stuff that he thinks is going on with that draccus.
Yeah, it's pretty great. I love that about her too. I mean, she's not hesitant to correct him. She's not shy a bit. And that's kind of, again,
or to call him a liar.
Yeah, well, that's one of the things that's really really nice about her and Debbie. They're both like quick to the punch.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like, and I dig that. One thing about Denna that we learn about her, apparently, she gathered up her things, sat down, or Kvothe gathers up his stuff. He's sewing his travel sack back together, and after a moment, Denna returned from her brief trip into the trees.
I caught that too, Tim.
Does she
possible peer poop?
She might have a colon and a bladder. She might.
There's no evidence for it, though. I mean, there's circumstantial evidence.
Yeah, exactly. It's insinuated.
I don't. You can't say that for certain. He could have been insinuating that she has she had her lady time.
It's really some of good Lord. It's really.
We're gonna go there instead. Like he's not gonna talk about bathroom breaks. He's talking about period breaks.
Yeah, well, they do mention periods in this book. That is canon. That is in the series.
Wait.
They talk about menstrual cycles.
I can't believe we're talking about this, but I don't remember that.
I believe it is when they are discussing like the Adem, and because they were like, you believe in man mothers? And he's like, like it's got to be a specific time of the month, and like, depending on your cycles and shit like that. So like he was talking about when a man can impregnate a woman, and they thought, the Adem thought that idea was hilarious, that a man played any part of impregnating a woman. They thought men have no part in this, and so there's an aspect of menstrual cycle in that discussion.
Oh yeah, that's a really funny element about the Adem, because they laugh their asses off at him. They think he's a clown because, in their world it's like a reversal in terms of how their perspective works in that way.
Yeah, so there, in your face.
What do you mean, so there? What do you mean? It wasn't like an argument. Okay.
You got owned.
Okay.
I also though like you get a lot of good stuff on Denna in these. Like here with the, have you ever seen one of these before? I asked, holding out my hand. She raised an eyebrow at me. How many times have I heard that one? Grinning, I handed her the lump of black iron I'd got from the tinker. She looked it over curiously. Is this a loading stone? I'm surprised you recognized it. I knew a fellow who used to own one as a paperweight. She sighed disparagingly. He made a special point of how, despite the fact it was so valuable and exceedingly rare, he used it as a paperweight. She sniffed. He was a prat. But I like that aspect of it. Like her memory of it is like some fucking douchebag. Like, oh, look at this. I got a huge lump of gold and I don't use it for anything other than a paperweight.
Yeah, it reminds me of that Family Guy where they're making, the character on Family Guy that they make fun of.
It's like a guy lighting his fucking cigarettes, lighting his cigarettes with a fucking $100 bill.
Yeah, ridiculous. Wasteful just to be wasteful.
Except for loading stones would be significantly more valuable.
There is something interesting that I think might be revealed here, and it might not be, but it's one of those things that Rothfuss doesn't waste words. But they're talking about the loading stone and kind of parsing out, the significance of it and what it does. And Denna says, I wonder if it only likes iron because it's made of iron. If someone found a loading stone made of brass, would it like other brass? And then Kavo says maybe it would like copper and zinc. That's what brass is made of.
Yeah, and Dan, at that point, did you think of Tim at that point? When he's like, well, brass is actually made of copper and zinc, so it could have been connected
what what actually went through my head when I was reading this? I was like, this is like Rothfuss. Like, he knew this information, and he wanted to let everybody know that he knows this information, so he has Kavoth relay that to us. It's like, hey, actually...
The reason why I bring it up is because copper has some significance.
Yeah.
So I wonder if that's gonna, I just wonder if that's a little Easter egg that's gonna play a part in something in the future, where because if sympathists apparently, arcanists apparently don't have control over copper for whatever reason, perhaps they need like a loading stone made of copper. Perhaps they need something, a tool, some type of utility that could open. Doesn't he have a copper lock on his thrice lock box?
But he has a copper key for it.
Oh, well.
He has keys for those. At least I believe that he has a copper key. Maybe he has keys for the other two locks, but he has keys for believe at least two of the locks.
So okay. Oh yeah, because he like puts two in, but he can't like figure out how to get. Obviously, you can't figure out how to get.
He still can't get it open, but like he's got the locks. Like he turns one, like turns it left, then right, then left, and shit like that, and like pulls it out halfway and turns it again. Something along those lines. There's an aspect. It's not just simply put in the key and turn it. It's more complicated than that. Mm-hmm. But you use a key to kind of unlock one or two of the locks. But I don't think he has keys for all the locks, and obviously he can't open it even with the keys. There's something else that he needs to be able to do that he can't do, and it frustrates the shit out of him.
Yeah. Yeah, it's actually quite an interesting like literary tool to, put a little bit of powerlessness into Kavoth, and it works so well because it's coat, right? I mean, it just deepens his inability to have an effect on things,
And deepens the mystery of what got him to that state too.
Well, yeah,
Because at this point in the story,
it's all these locks. It's interesting because he uses these motifs of locks and doors and passageways, and there's all mystery wrapped in all these things, right? And then just the fact that the doors are also used metaphorically, like psychologically and emotionally. It's great, man. It's a really interesting motif to leverage throughout these books. Yeah, I think it's great, and yeah, I mean it's kind of the key to unlocking what's going on here. That's what we're trying to get to, and I think that's why the third book is what Doors of Stone, right?
Yeah.
Well,
no, it's Hangin' Tough, but he's throwing everybody off the scent by making everybody think it's going to be Doors of Stone, but no, it's Hangin' Tough.
Yeah,
I mean, and if Rothfuss thinks it's Doors of Stone, it's only because he hasn't listened to the podcast yet.
Oh, okay.
When he listens to the podcast, he will know that you're right. It is Hangin' Tough. I just
there's two
hadn't
stages.
thought of that.
There's two stages. First, he shits his pants. Then the realization sets in.
Yeah, that goes without saying.
Guys, sorry. You forgot. Step two. Step two is his nipples get blasted off.
Yeah. Yeah. Take my bra off and blast my nips.
There is, you know what though, Rothfuss, he is really going to get a lot out of this podcast. It's going to bring so much to the books. I just really is.
Well, he's at least going to get a bowel movement and some nipples blasted. So I mean, that alone,
he's going to have a characters named Dan, Tim, and Fitz, and they're all going to be like standing in line. And and one of the lines will be like they're waiting in line to use the restroom. Like, hurry up! I'm about to shit my pants. Like, I got to shit so bad my nips are blasting off.
and then he'll have us all get murdered.
Yeah,
we'll all get murked by the Chandrian. That'd be. I think I'd enjoy that. That's pretty good.
Oh yeah, I'd do a cameo for that. No problem.
Yeah,
that's another. That's another, what do you call it, homage, right?
Yeah.
He's just homaging the shit out of us. Literally.
Yeah, homaging our podcast.
That's the goal, I think.
Oh, man. And then after that, they go...
I was going to say, you get another Rothfuss knows moment with lizards eat rocks all the time. Actually.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So you get that there. It's how they digest their food. And this is when the chicken comes out. It's true. Chickens do it too. And they keep calling it a chicken after that, which is pretty great. Again, so we talked about that on the last episode, which I think is really genius because the draccus is this big frickin' scary thing. And I mean, it's massive. It's a meth head. It's spitting fire. It's unpredictable. It's a big threat to them. But there's all this humor involved between the two of them dealing with it. And I know we talked about that in the last episode, but this carries it on. The chicken, where they keep calling it this big chicken. After that, it kind of goes in that same vein.
Yeah, he does it. Well, it's kind of interesting because you got Chronicler writes the book on this, and then Kavoth reads that book, and Chronicler is writing this story, hearing Kavoth living, living this book and relaying this book to Denna that he wrote the book that Kavoth is relaying to Denna as he's writing Kavoth's story. So it's almost like he's rewriting his book. It's an interesting moment where when you think about it from Chronicler's perspective, he's like, as he's writing the story of Kvothe the badass, he's also getting to write in like, yeah, my fucking book is fucking center stage on one of the fucking baddest fucking stories. And you get those details, but it's similar to how he describes sympathy, like where he goes into the details on how it works, and he really fills it out. He does the same thing with the draccus on, this is how this thing would survive. It can't eat meat. It's got to eat fucking. It's a herbivore, but it can't just eat grass. There's not enough grass that would fill this thing up. So this thing's got to eat whole trees, and then like it eats. How's its shell? Iron. Well, it eats rock and da da da. It breaks it down. And it eats the rocks to break down the food, and like he goes into a lot of detail on exactly how the draccus works, and he goes into so much detail on it that I'm curious that did he start writing all these details and then like, well there's got to be a way that Kvothe would know this information, and so I'm curious on the way that the story of the common draccus, or whatever it is, whatever that book's called, the mating habits of the common draccus. I'm curious if he backtracked and added that stuff in after he started writing about the draccus and was like, well, there's got to be a way that Kvothe knows all this information because he wanted to put it in there.
I think what you've done is you've convinced me that Kvothe made it all up. He didn't run into a draccus. He read that book, and he created all this.
Yeah.
It's just lip service for what's his name?
It's all for Chronicler to believe it, to put his whole heart into this story, right?
There's a lot of people that think Kvothe is lying about a lot of the story, and to me, like, it would be so terrible, like it would just make the book garbage. Like,
well, no, there has to be some embellishment because he's told us that many times. There has to be some in some way, some shape and form. As far as I can
that's
tell,
fine.
Because
But
he's
like,
talked about that many times.
But like to just completely make up like you fought the draccus. Like that would be that's like, well, hold on. What? Like, so why would you even write this fucking book? Like, the whole premise of the book is the hero telling his true story.
Well,
if you're going to just invent fucking stories out of thin air just to fucking have in your book, it's like, so really what this story is an egomaniac. I was gonna say, wanting to go down in history as the greatest person ever.
You could have, this is the lamest ending we've talked about. This is where you just kill the entire story. It was all a dream. It was all bullshit. This is worse than a dream. It's literally bullshit out of some fucking guy's mouth who's really convincing and really impressive with his imagination, but it was all horseshit. I mean, this would be the worst ending ever.
Did you ever see the movie Big Fish?
Nah, you brought this up before, but I haven't seen it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, anyway, that's an excellent movie. I won't spoil it, but anyway, same kind of premises.
It's funny. I mean, this is my least favorite. This is my least favorite of all of the ideas we've come up with of what the ending could be.
Yeah.
This is like what I said earlier about like it was all a dream, or we're all
dead.
Chronicler finishes the book, and
giant's
Kvothe quickly snatches him away as like, sucker, made all that up.
Yeah. I wanted to.
Now I'm going to fucking sell it in your name. I'm going to make so much money.
I did want to go back real quick because I found that really interesting, Dan. Again, in the explanation did definitely remind me of when he's explaining sympathy for the first time, and a lot of different magics of the world of how things work, but just the nature of it, and the similarities between our world and that world. Because even though this is a giant dragon, it's got a gizzard, like you said. And then he's trying to figure out, because he doesn't know, he's trying to figure out how it breathes fire. And he's like, well, it's probably got a bladder for methane and maybe some kind of arsenic. And so in my head, I'm like, maybe he's got like flint in his teeth, and he's, when he tries to breathe fire, he chomps and that spark and whatever. It's just one of those things that it kind of opened it up to, that it could really be, not that it is or could be, but could actually be a realistic thing.
No, that's great. I mean, I was going to say with the scales, it's a great stepping stone towards like actually making it real. And yeah, when he starts to pontificate on, so I'm wondering where's the fire coming from? It's great because he does this like you said before, like with sympathy. He brings in material from our world. He brings in our physics, our science, and has it make some sense with the biology of an animal. And it's great, man. And you need obviously those details to get it more real. Yeah, and even just as simple as like it's as big as a horse cart. Like I need reminders because I in my mind the draccus is always smaller than when I read through it again, and I'm like, fuck, it is always bigger than I remember because I've never seen something like this. So it's just hard to envision how large it actually is, and I have to get those reminders of when it jumps on top of a tree and the thing just splits, like all that type of stuff. It's hard to do because there's nothing in our world that's like this. We don't have whales walking around on land. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's again, it's something that is necessary that he has to do. And if he didn't, the draccus wouldn't be nearly as real to us in our imagination.
Yeah, and then when they do head off, they see the smoke in the distance and they think it might be her patron, and that the draccus might have ran up on him. They go and check it out, and they come to this area that's kind of cordoned off from everything else, and it's got like a house and a bunch of trees. And when they're looking at the wreckage, you got Kavoth trying to say, Denna said, looking over the wreckage, this does not look harmless at all. We don't know if the draccus was responsible for this, I said. If the Chandrian attacked here, the draccus could have been lured by the fire and caused the destruction while putting it out. You think the Chandrian did this, she asked? That doesn't fit with anything I've ever heard of them. They're supposed to strike like lightning, then disappear. They don't visit, set some fires, and then come back and run a few errands. I like this aspect of it, in that Kavoth is dead set that this has to be the Chandrian, and he keeps sticking with it. And it's like it takes Denna to be like, it's clearly not the Chandrian. Like, just step back and look. You want it to be the Chandrian, but it's clearly not.
I was gonna say she has to go as far as say, look, you want it to be. You're not seeing the signs that it's not. I think you want it to be connected, is what she says. But this fellow's been dead a long while. You said so yourself, and remember the door frame, the water trough at the farm. So she hits the cabin. It's like, look, those signs aren't here, bro. Like, this is a completely different situation. You need to come to grips, man.
Yeah.
Get a grip, Kvoth.
Yeah,
it's great. Again, she's like a stabilizing force. She's kind of bringing him down. They're a good team, man. We've talked about that before. Like, the two of them together, it's great. And again, this is why what's so great about their relationship for the audience that makes it so frustrating, because we get these pieces where when they are together, it's great and it's natural and all's good. And then, especially like what eventually happens is fucking frustrating as hell. But yeah, this all plays out really nice. It's also good,
like, because you get those moments where, like, you have a friend who's, in the weeds of a situation, and he can't, step back and separate emotion from it. And then you got another friend who's not, has no emotional connection to the situation, who can step back and be like, no, man, you're wrong. Just take a step back. Look at the big picture. It's you're wrapped up in what you want an answer to be, rather than what the answer actually is. And to Kavoth's credit, is when she does point that out to him, he's like, damn it, she's right. He doesn't want her to be right, but he accepts it. He doesn't like fucking dig his heels in.
Yeah, no, that's important. I've had that in my life on many occasions. It's very helpful. I mean, dig you out of a hole that you've dug for yourself because you're blinded by, whatever, human emotion.
Well, and Denna does a good job of telling him exactly why, pointing out to him, there's really no question about it. This isn't the Chandrian. The signs aren't here.
By the way, I love, like, she's so intuitive, man. Like, she brings up, he's like, look, creatures in the forest, they avoid you. They're not trying to attack people. So why would this happen? And she goes, maybe it's rabid. Like, boom.
Yep.
She fucking hits it. Like on a read through, you're like, dude, she fucking, like her instincts are very well honed. And he's just like, that's a terrifying thought. You know, how on earth would you put something like that down? Can a lizard even catch the froth? And then, you know, now we're on this path of like, on a second read through, you're like, okay, so now they're going to have to start to tease this out. What would they do? How can they do it? Yeah. But she's like, let's get the hell out of here before shit, you know, gets worse.
Yeah, and then it fucking shows up. And they gotta scurry up the fucking ladder, and you know, go in between like the kind of is like a little crevice in the mountain almost, where there's just like a little hideaway behind the house, and then they climb up a ladder and they're kind of overlooking it, and that's where they start to look at the whole valley, and it's like, oh, okay, well, obviously this is a lookout, but then they're like, well, what the fuck's here? Like you get this real short mystery that gets solved very quickly, but it's a mystery where you get to see the wheels turning and them starting to put things together. Okay, this is a lookout. This guy's got a crossbow. There's a bunch of trees here, but what is this place? And then they see the trees and like, look, it looks like these trees are arranged in a specific
Denna
order.
Notices that too. That's Denna's fine too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there's a couple elements. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, before you move past that, I wanted to touch on something that you guys brought up last week in regards to the lookout, because there's three specific, some verbiage that I picked up on that he calls it a lookout. In an earlier chapter, he talks about the archway. He calls that a fort. And then after they're watching the draccus like dig up the ground and tear shit up, he calls it a battleground or a battlefield. So anyway, I was going to say that imagery is huge because we get it, that little narrow passageway Dan was talking about, the way he describes it, there were sharp claw marks on the cliff wall and broken rocks scattered around the churned up earth. That's huge because they see that, they know the draccus can't get to them because that's where he's been trying to get through. Then they see all the soot lining the inside, so that's where he's been breathing fire. So this dude, like, what's going? So it's like piecing all those things together. Why is he acting this way? What's going on? Why is all the earth churned up? Why is he eating all these? Like, so they start to piece it all together, and that's where it's like, oh, this dude's on meth. I mean, well, obviously they figure that out when they find all the resin, but yeah, that imagery is huge, man. It's very. We need that to be able to see it, right? Because it was just It's kind of an odd area to visualize anyway in the way that he describes it. But when you have the lookout and then the guy has like this little thing with like a blanket and some dried meat and water. So it's clearly like a spot that he's there for a reason. He's guarding something, right? He's got the crossbow. And it's not just a crossbow. It's an illegal crossbow, right? It's not for hunting. They mention that distinctively. When they find it on his person, they're like, this is an expensive crossbow that's illegal. So why would this guy have this? You know, what is this for? That suggests something, I don't know, legal. It seems weird because it's not necessarily like illegal. I mean, I guess it is in a way, but
well, they say the crossbow is illegal.
I know, but I mean the Denna cultivation seems like it would be frowned upon, but they're going to use
Dennas. So is this a whorehouse?
Whatever, man. The Denna cultivation. That they're going through, but because I say that because it's not as if they were worried about moving with the Denna resin. They're going to sell it. They're going to sell it to apothecaries. You know, they're going to be able to utilize. No,
they're not. There's almost no chance they're selling it to apothecaries.
Well,
they're selling fucking. Right. This is a drug house. I mean, I get it. This is a meth house. They're making meth, and then they're selling it for people to use.
I'm talking about Kvothe. What he thinks. So he's selling Denna. They're kind of selling each other. They're like, well, yeah, we could sell it illegally and make a hell of a lot more money, but we could take this to apothecaries. People could be saved for this. He brings up like the noble pursuit where he's like, well, this could save people's lives. It's a painkiller. And, you know, but they're both like, I love how they're both, again, very similar. Like, I can get a pony. You know, like they're all jacked up about the things they can buy. She does the same thing, man. And I'm getting a little bit ahead of where we were, but she does the same thing he does. I love that because she's like, here's my list of things that I can now take care of.
Well,
The
and you
same thing
find
he
out,
does when it comes to money prospects.
yeah, and you find out just how, that the struggle is real for Denna too.
Yeah.
She says, I don't even have another change of clothes. So she's
Yeah,
really
yeah.
a lot closer than I realized to Kavoth's status as far as being just, broke.
Yeah, I don't think she would have said that if she wasn't stoned. That's the type of thing people keep pretty close to the vest.
That was before, but yeah. But well, I mean, we're coming up on that. But the when they're up there, though, one of the things I like is that when they're sitting on that lookout before they get to the dinner, they see the draccus just mowing down fucking trees, and you get a picture of how ridiculously powerful this thing is, where it's like I sat down and we watched draccus make its plodding way into the middle of the valley. It went up to a tree about 30 feet tall and pushed it over without any noticeable effort. Then it began to eat it, leaves first. Next it crunched up branches thick as my wrist, as easily as a sheep would tear up a mouthful of grass. When the trunk was finally stripped bare, I assumed it would have stopped, but it simply clamped its huge mouth down on one end of the trunk and twisted its massive neck. The trunk splintered and broke, leaving the draccus with a large but manageable mouthful that it bolted down more or less whole. That's ridiculous. Like, if you saw an animal knock over a fucking tree and just munch it down like it was nothing, an entire 30-foot tall tree, you'd be like, what the fuck is this thing?
Well, in some ways, it reminds me of like an elephant. Like you see elephants knock down trees, but 30-foot trees, that's a little different.
Well, they talk about...
Go ahead.
And it's not only like a 30-foot tree, it fucking just knocks it down like it's nothing.
Right. Yeah, they talk about like 100-year-old tree, and he just jumps on it, and the whole thing just breaks like it was a little branch. Yeah, it's pretty...
Yeah, that was the bigger one. That was that was the one where when he sees it knock down that big oak tree, and he blasts it and it splinters it and makes a big noise, and then he hits it again and knocks it over. And that was the point where like Kavoth is like, there is no way I can kill this thing. Like the amount of force it just put on itself, there's no way I could duplicate that. It put more pressure on itself than I could ever do, no matter what.
Yeah, I think there was even like a big
there
was like a big branch in the middle that prodded straight into his chest and didn't do shit.
Yeah.
The whole thing just broke.
It said it dimpled his chest and then splintered and just broke. His chest didn't give. It like dimpled, but then the wood broke, not his chest.
Yeah.
So he's got ridiculous armor, ridiculous strength, and it builds up the fact. What it's doing is it's doing a good job of building up like why this thing is going to be so difficult to bring down, why it's going to be so difficult to kill. You can't just attack it and head on. Like there's you don't have enough strength to possibly do any damage to it. So you're not going to fight this thing hand to hand.
Yeah, I'm going to digress real quick, but the iron iron shingles that are its scales, that was really interesting to me. And when he talks about the organic iron, I thought like a turtle or a armadillo or something, and I actually looked up. I'm like, dang, does that really happen? Like it seemed realistic that maybe something has a large amount of iron in their diet and kind of grow something like. It's not, so don't be an idiot like me and Google it. But because you'll end up with supplements, organic iron supplements.
Nice.
But anyway, I found that really interesting. And I hope that it comes up that he, besides when he uses it in a couple chapters here with sympathy, I hope that there's something more to that organic iron.
Yeah, it could be. I don't know. I haven't seen any hint of why that would come into play.
It does make you, or at least, I think it makes everybody feel a little bit, and Kavoth emphasizes it, but when they just get rid of the thing, you're like, what the fuck, man? Like the whole, like it's like a fortune.
And
It's a massive fine.
He's super bummed about that. But I'm curious on where the draccuses come from. Is this like just an animal in their world, from their world, or is this something that was created by the Shapers, like Ajax created these things, or
I wonder
along those lines? Because it is by some Greystones. It's in the area of some Greystones, so it could be something that came from the Fae, and there's obviously more of them in the world, so it's not necessarily that they came from the Fae, but it's such a weird fucking animal that it's I'm curious whether these are something that was created by like an Ajax versus just an animal that exists in this world.
Well, and it does sound like they're, like you said, they obviously exist, but it sounds like they're extraordinarily rare. Like, what's his face? Chronicler wrote the book, but he didn't even have access to one. So all he had was, when they talk about, how does he breathe fire, he just had, he had some ideas about it, but he didn't have any concrete evidence because no one's ever dissected it, or he couldn't catch somebody who had dissected it. So...
there's a couple other parts I like too. Like I liked when Kavoth Denna like takes a little jab at him, where she's like, says the fellow who came to town looking for the Chandrian. He's like, that's different, I protested hotly. I don't go around spouting fairy stories and touching iron. I'm here so I can learn the truth. And like she's like, hey, easy, buddy. I didn't mean to touch a nerve, but like I like that his little quick flip out when as soon as like someone fucking basically calls him like a little baby searching for fairy stories. Like he immediately even with Denna, that fucking flips that switch into him. That temper comes out. Like, I'm not a baby, you're a baby. But and then also the when he is talking about the draccus and he's trying to impress her with his explanation on it, and she's like, you said you said it fucking eats trees, so trees burn, so of course it would fucking spit fire.
Yeah,
he's like,
makes sense to me.
I don't even know what to say. I don't even know what to say about that.
Yeah, she's like, understandable.
He gives all these myriad examples. It reminds me of like, talking about like, with ex-girlfriends talking about like economics, where you can be like, I've completely lost you. You're not interested in this at all. So let's just move on to something else. But yeah, it's a funny moment. Oh, and then also the cow lighting cow patties on fire.
Yeah.
Denna's like, I'm a city girl, which is a bit of information on Denna, who she is, that she is a city girl. She's not a farm girl. So that gives a possibility to, if she was going to be like a princess type girl or from nobility or something along those lines, she would be a city girl. So it gives, it leans her in that direction.
Yeah, and it also sounds like, which we've kind of already kind of picked up anyway, but she seems to either have left a situation that she had, or, was abandoned, or, some similar situation, maybe what happened with Kavoth, something in the sense of, she had to leave whatever situation she had familial-wise, and now she's out on her own, and that wasn't always that way.
Yeah,
it seems.
It does not appear that she was, born to some super poor lady and got orphaned at a young age. It does not appear that that's the case. She's too intelligent. She's had too good of an education.
Yeah, I was gonna say she's too experienced. She can move through, different circles in society. So she clearly kind of knows her way around.
Her ability to just mingle with the nobility so easily. She's got rough edges, obviously, so she's had traumatic things, but she also can mingle with top echelon nobility like it's nothing. Like, they don't feel like she's out of place there. And you would think this is a girl born on the streets. You think it'd be hard to train a girl born on the streets to become that sophisticated. Like, if you just, I mean, to lose all your youth and just lose it, it's hard to make that up. You can't just like ruin a kid's childhood and then they get older and then they become fully formed, well functioning adults. Like, that's not how shit fucking typically works. Usually if you fuck a kid up as a little kid, they stay fucked up.
I'll be interested to see how it plays out in book 3, the similarities between Kvothe and Denna as far as their everything that we know prior to this point.
I'm really interested to see how
very similar.
How he brings them back together, because they got to come back together. It has to happen. They can't just like not see each other again. It'll be interesting to see how that occurs, how we get delivered her patron, what happens with him, what happens between him and Kvothe, all that good stuff. Yeah, I'm interested. He's got me kind of got me into these books at this point.
Yeah, I'm not really.
You've invested some time.
I'm not very interested in it. It's just, it's just kind of like you started a really bad movie and you want to know how it ends.
Oh, jeez.
You're sticking around for the ending. I get it.
Yeah.
I get it.
But
not walking out of this theater. I paid $7.
Once you get that ending, it's like, oh, thank God. Now I can move on.
Now I can move on with my life.
I like to the way like it culminates on their investigation where Denna's like, it does have a sweet tooth. This fellow was making maple candy here or syrup. And then Kvothe's like, but it didn't feel right. There were plenty of maple trees in the forest. It didn't make sense to cultivate them. And why pick such an out-of-the-way place? So that's right before it all snaps into place. But you see the wheels turning the entire time. And then, like, ick, Denna said, behind me, bitter. I think they burned it. I suddenly realized what was going on here. Don't! She looked at me, puzzled. It's not that bad, she said, her words muffled through her sticky mouthful. It's strange, but not really unpleasant. I stepped over to her, knocked it out of her hand. Her eyes flashed angrily at me. Spit it out, I snapped. Now, it's poison. So you get the quick revelation. Like, at this point, you don't know it's dinner. And then you're oh, shit. Like, it ramps up real quick where it's like, oh, it's maple candy. And he's like, something doesn't feel right. And then as soon as she says it's bitter, he fucking snaps in. It's like, don't, it's fucking poison. And you're like, what? She just ate poison?
Yeah. Well, and that's what we think until for a minute, because he's like, rinse your mouth out. And then he's giving her charcoal, which is pretty great. I love that he grabs the charcoal. Okay.
Yeah, no, and not only does he give her charcoal, he's like, dude, chew this up and swallow it, and if you don't, I'll fucking knock you out and force it down your throat. Like, it's intense. It's an intense moment.
I like that because, again, as Fitz likes to say, true to life, right?
You don't know that.
Yeah. But yeah, it's pretty great. I mean, because that does actually apply in our world, that you can use charcoal to clean clean your body out or whatever. It sucks away the toxins.
I thought it made you vomit too. Is it?
No.
Was I wrong about that?
No, it doesn't make you vomit. It just it absorbs the toxins, the charcoal itself. Yeah, so it takes it away from moving through your system, at least to some degree. It doesn't do it at all, but I think they said
6 parts to 10.
Yeah, 6 and 10. Yeah. But yeah, and then we
shortly
after that.
How much charcoal have you eaten in your lifetime?
I actually,
Tim's like matter-of-factly telling you, no, it doesn't make you puke. All it does is like it goes into your system that just starts absorbing this.
Since you're asking, I used to take it for hangovers. I used to take it the night I was drinking. I used to take it in the morning, and it helped. It definitely helped.
Actual
with,
charcoal?
hangovers.
You just eat bars of...
No, pull out the matchlight bag?
That's what I do.
In it already?
Yeah, that's what you do. That makes you poop. Nah, you can buy them. You can buy activated charcoal. It's clean and everything else in pill form. Look it up, bruh. You can buy it. Take it. You can take it like when you're drinking. At the end of the night, everybody always says, down a bunch of water at the end of the night. Take water and charcoal before you go to sleep. Get up in the morning, take it again. It helps. Although in the morning, actually, it's not that important. It's important at night because it's absorbing all the bullshit. You can take it as long, while you're drinking if you want to.
Tim's revealing that he had a massive drinking problem.
I had a massive, hangover. I didn't have a massive drinking problem. I had a hangover problem. And I did, hangovers as you get older.
I could drink fucking easily. Fucking, I'd knock them. I could drink so many drinks. Like, never had a problem drinking
That was
drinks.
never the issue.
It was the effects of the drinking that were the problem.
It was
not the drinking. Drinking was great. Loved every minute of it.
There are different parts of drinking problems, as people do know quite well. Some people get drunk and it gets them to do all kinds of crazy shit. I didn't really do that. It was more the next day was ruined for me. And
I'm sorry, Tim. Did you say that you didn't? Your answer was you didn't get drunk and do crazy things.
Nah, I mean, maybe
you weren't that guy, huh? Yeah, I must have been thinking of somebody else. It's cool.
Okay, well, obviously, since I'm talking to you guys, obviously, yes, I used to do some crazy shit, but whatever. As I've gotten older and I have children, I don't go out and do a bunch of crazy shit. I don't have the enablers around me like you two.
Yeah. Tim's face is probably like burning right now. He's like, fucking, man, it's getting hot in here. Woo, turn on the air.
But once you have kids, man, that recovery day is, it's not so easy when, there are people expecting you to do things.
No,
it's different.
I do not enjoy it.
It's different when you recover. When your recovery day and you can just sit on a couch and watch Die Hard on cable and eat tortillas and drink water. That's different. I can't do that shit. I got kids, so
tortillas.
Yeah. Have you ever had charcoal crust pizza? It's good shit.
I have not.
Black. As if you didn't know, it's black.
Huh.
Or maybe you didn't know, but it is.
I could have assumed.
Yeah. Well, so right after we get that him shoving charcoal down her throat, we do get the realization that it's ophalum or Denna resin.
Yeah, they're harvesting goddamn ophalum here.
Yeah, and she's like, "What's ophalum?" She knows. I was gonna say, you just kind of expect that she would know. Although I don't, maybe not. It just seems like because she spent. There's enough that especially on the next read-throughs, I guess you just kind of know that she does, but it seems like most people know that time in Tarbine makes you think people see people whacked out on Denna resin. It's not like you have to search them out. They're out there.
Yeah, but he pulled a Kelvin on her, and he gave her the technical name instead of the street name. Yeah. So she's like, what the fuck's ophalum? And he's like, those are dinner trees. And then she knew exactly what he was talking about as soon as he said dinner. But he gave her the Kelvin with the fucking here's the technical name for the drug. Like, okay, smarty guy, what is the drug though?
Well, and that was pretty good too. That like once she starts tripping, she's like, "Am I gonna get addicted to this?" Because she's seen the addicts, and it's like, well, how much does it take? Because once you see people acting like that. Yeah, that's enough to scare you away from like heroin or something. But she just rolls a little bit, a little roll. That's pretty good. But obviously it could have gone. It obviously could have gone really bad for her, given the amount she ate. If she had not had the coals, all that charcoal, all spitting it out, trying to get a bunch of it out. If she would have just ate that and took it all down, who knows what could have happened there.
I did want to ask, maybe I missed it or kind of glossed over it, but I remember Caveau saying that his water skin was empty and then all of a sudden he had water.
He ran up the ladder to that lookout.
He runs up a ladder and grabs the water skin that was up on that little cliff they were on.
Oh, yeah, that guy's water skin. Okay.
Yeah. So the other aspect, this kind of ties Kavoth in with Ajax, and we've talked about this, but when she brings up, your eyes really do change color.
Oh, yeah.
He's like, I'm surprised you noticed. The only other person ever pointed out was an old teacher of mine, and he was an arcanist, which means it's pretty much his job to notice things. And you get another aspect of this, too, with her noticing. She's like, well, it's my job to notice things about you. She cocked her head a bit. People probably are distracted by your hair. It's so bright. It's pretty distracting. And your face is really expressive. You're always in control of it, even the way your eyes behave, but not the color. She gave a faint smile. They're pale now, like green frost. You must be terribly afraid. But they talk about Ajax, and I can't remember the exact quote, but in the story that Hespa tells of Jax stealing the moon, she talks about like his eyes changing colors, his ever changing eyes or something along those lines. And it's a consistent theme with Kvothe is they're talking about his eyes consistently changing color, and it's not something most people pick up on other than people who are really close to him or arcanists and those kind of things. Because like other than Denna, it's like Abinthy, and then I think Willem is one of the other people to point it out to people. So there's something to that. I don't think that's one of the things that really makes me very confident that Ajax and Kvothe Ajax is one of his ancestors, that Kvothe's a descendant of Ajax, is that this is one of those big clues, because I don't think he's putting that in there, this constant mention of his eyes changing color. I don't think that's just an empty thing. I think he's putting that in there as the clue to be able to lead you to when he talks about Jax with his his eyes always changing colors. I think that's so you can tie those two together. I think that's just one of the clues that ties them together, and I don't think that was accidental.
Yeah, I haven't heard of a lot of other examples of people with eyes changing colors. She gets pretty specific too, because she says bright green with a ring of gold around the inside, which we heard that about his mother. He describes his mother's eyes as that way. And then she says when you broke the pump handle yesterday, they went dull green, muddy. And when the swineherd made that comment about the rue, they went dark for just a moment. And we've heard that about Coat.
Yeah,
and we've heard that before about his eyes changing when something goes down. And
it's such a prominent characteristic that if it didn't have any significance to any other aspect of the story other than just it signifies what Kvothe's feeling in a moment. Like, and if you're paying attention, you can pick that up on it. Like, I can't imagine that it's just that. I think it's mentioned so many times, and the only other mention of eyes changing colors, Ajax or Jax. So I think that's the reason he brings it up so much, is to tie them together.
Do you think that, what do you think it signifies? That godliness, or?
I don't know I don't know that it signifies anything.
You think he's Telu, don't you?
Power-wise, I think it is purely, I didn't hear what you said.
I said you think he's Telu, don't you?
Yes, it signifies that he's Telu, and he's changing and being reborn into different personalities of Telu.
Within these chapters, I did think that's good.
I have thought, at least that it seems that something that goes along with that, he especially has that wild look when he comes out of the Fae. So I thought, I mean, at least my thinking is that it may have something to do with Fae creatures, or being from the Fae or of the Fae, something to that effect.
It could be. I want to get into the second book, because I don't remember off the top of my head any mentions of like people's eyes changing colors. So I don't know if it's got to be a clue to something. The only thing I know that it could be a clue to is Ajax. I know that for certain, that they talk about Ajax with his eyes changing colors. So that's what I think it's. I think the purpose of them consistently talking about his eyes changing color is to tie him to Ajax, is to tie that story to Kavoth. But I don't know if there's anything other significant to it other than that.
Oh, I just wanted to add on to that a little bit because I thought of something. The goddess Diana is a moon goddess in our world, or in our world of fantasy. And Denna having called herself Diane, Ajax stealing the moon, and then Kavoth stealing princesses back from the Barrow King or the Barrow King. I just thought of that this week. I was looking into something else and saw that Diane was a moon goddess, and it made me think of Kavoth's relationship with Denna. So anyway, I throw that out there.
I was going to throw out there that he tears another shirt when he runs up the ladder to go get the wineskin or the water, whatever skin bag.
Which also, that also ties him to Ajax, because that's something they say about Jax is he's always tearing holes in his shirts.
There you go.
Interesting.
He's got holy shirts. Well, it's holy, so that means Telu.
Yeah, it could be Telu.
Right?
Yeah,
so
that's probably what he's trying to allude to.
I got another one for you. So, and then shortly thereafter, we get a little reminder of Kavoth's debts as they start talking about. He says, I'm in debt to a dangerous person. I can use every penny. I think he was talking about the crossbow bolts, why he kept them.
Yeah.
And then Denna, again, as she's been doing in this chapter, do you know how much that resin would be worth? And then we go on that trail of, well, now that you mention it, a lot, a whole lot. And then they start just going on about, how much, what they could do with the money and, what it could be used for, and how they just the whole thing, they just play it out, which is pretty great. It's a nice mix in the chapter because of the situation they're in, and then suddenly it's like, oh wait, this is like a financial opportunity for us. We need to leverage this.
It's a huge opportunity. Yeah. And I like too when the drug starts to hit Denna.
Yeah.
She's like, I suddenly feel really good. She crossed her arms across her chest, rubbing her hands up and down. Really, really good. I don't think it's just the thought of all that money. And like that's the point where you're like, what are you doing, man? Fucking get a little gummy, man. What are you doing?
Well, it's funny, man, because like his reaction is like, you need to let me know if you feel any heaviness in your chest or have any trouble breathing. So long as neither of those things happens, you should be fine. He just like plays the role.
The point.
He just plays the role of
where you're like, okay, nerd, fucking.
Well,
you really need a fucking gummy.
There's that. There's also the spotter for people taking acid the first time. I don't know if you ever had that experience where there was somebody that didn't and would basically watch out, make sure these youngins don't do something stupid. So it's a little spotter, somebody that can watch out for you.
Nope.
Tell you what's a hallucination and what's no, that's really there. That's real,
Yeah.
or no, there is no spirals on the wall. Sorry, buddy.
But yeah, then she brings up Sweet Angel or Dal above. I feel great. She gave me an anxious expression, but the wide grin kept spilling out. I'm just gonna mention. It just occurred to me when I read this over again. I kind of want to take some drugs. It sounds like she's having a good time, man. It's been a while. It's been a while.
It's one of those ones where you're like, it doesn't make you like long for like LSD. It would make you long for like some ecstasy or something.
Exactly. Yeah, she's rolling. And this is exactly when she's like, man, this is great. And then she's like, wait, am I going to get addicted to this? And he's like, no, you'll be fine.
Yes.
But
yep.
you just say without hesitation. Yep. This is your life
done.
now. This is it.
Yeah. Get used to it.
And
this will be the best time. From here on out, you'll be chasing this.
Well,
it'll never feel as good.
It's interesting what she says when she digs deeper. She says, the damnedest thing I'm scared about getting addicted, but I don't care that I'm scared. Never felt like this before. It's interesting that when she says that, it makes me think of the Plumb Bob to a degree, where it's like, he just has a complete shut off of, a part of his mind. You know what I'm saying? It's like he can't be cognizant of, what's the word there? Like judgment. He can't use better judgment.
Yeah, it's a little similar but different, because like he can't even think what would be wrong.
He can't differentiate. He's
like comedy.
He's just all instinct.
Even like, or something that's funny. He wouldn't be able to determine what a joke would be. Like it's like it's a weird cutoff. Well, obviously we'll dive into the Plumb Bob when it comes up, but it's a super weird drug.
Yeah, it kind of made me think of it. Well, yeah, it's weird in such a way that can ruin your life, because you're going to do things while you're on this that can absolutely ruin your fucking existence. But yeah,
it's also the Angel Ordal, one of the, other than Telu and Ordal and one other angel I'm drawing a blank on. They don't mention many other angels. I think Andin or Aiden or Andin. I can't remember the other one they mentioned, but they don't mention a lot of different angels. So when they talk about Kvothe killed an angel, I'm thinking that if he does kill an angel, it's going to be Telu or Ordal, or the other one, Andin, I think is the other one that they mention multiple times. I think they bring up, because he does that so much in these books, where like he mentions the Duke of Gibeah. He mentions him a bunch of times before that. When he finally reveals more on the Duke of Gibeah, he makes you familiar with him. Or like we talked about in the episode 13 addendum, the Barrow King, Phasia, King Phasia. Like he mentions Phasia once.
Well, I was going to say,
and then he's obviously going to play a significant role. So, like, the fact that they mentioned Ordal multiple different times makes me think that he's going to come up, or he could possibly be the angel that Kvothe kills.
I don't know why, but Ordal sounds like a female name to me. Not that it matters, really.
Could be, I don't know.
But the vein that she says it, we typically hear blackened body of God, or we hear something about Telu. It's typically Telu when people are using like this almost like in vain type situation.
But Telu's God to those people.
Yeah,
he's not an angel.
Well, yeah, no. So yeah, that's what I was going to say. It can also speak to her upbringing. The fact that she says "sweet angel Ordal," like while somebody else might say Telu, or someone might say blackened body of God, or someone might say, like we get different. I don't know if they're necessarily like idioms, but we get different.
Yeah, it could be that she was brought up as Talin or a Minder, one of the two.
Yeah.
Ordal would be an angel to both of those religions.
Well, and we kind of talked about that really early on about Bast and some of the different individuals from the Fae, how they use, when they say something like this, they use like an animal name or a nature or something. I can't remember now because it's so freaking long ago, but it's not like an angel or God name. It's more like a nature thing, and that's what they use when they're like kind of emphasizing.
Yeah, you brought it up with Willem when he was like hammer and horn.
Oh yeah, that's what it was. Yeah, so he's not from the Fae, obviously, but he's from a different place, different lineage and whatnot, different culture, which makes sense. I mean, that's how our world works as well. I mean, not everybody says the same. Not everybody says
here come God. The Persian idioms, Dan.
Yeah. Armenian is not Persian, but yeah. So, but I was gonna say, well, it's not here, so I'll wait. But it'll be this episode.
Yeah, that was pretty much it for me on this chapter. I mean, it ends with they're talking about that, and she mentions like, have you ever seen a sweet eater when they've gone when they've got the hunger on them, they go crazy, and then you hear the fucking draccus roar, and then it moves into the next chapter. But that was pretty much it for me on this chapter. I don't know if you guys got anything else.
Yeah, it's, if I remember right, it's the realization that the draccus is losing his fix, and if I remember right, that kind of kicks in like, oh shit, we're gonna have to kill this thing.
Yeah,
Right?
that's the next chapter. Yeah, that's when they
Well, no,
dive into that.
But I mean, it's
They
in this
realize
chapter
in this
that they have the realization that, oh shit, we're gonna have to kill it.
Oh, okay.
It's going to go looking for more, and it's going to be desperate. It knows the last place where it found the trees had a little house that smelled like people. We're going to have to kill it. And she's like,
It's a
kill
fucking
it.
meth dragon.
Yeah, and she's like, how the fuck are we gonna kill this thing? Like, yeah, whatever. So then, they talked about the stages as well: mania, delirium, and then yeah, how are we gonna do
the
this?
magic dragon lived along.
So yeah, he even entertains the idea. He's like, well, maybe if there's another crossbow, and it's like, nah, bro. Well, we'll get in the next chapter. We'll get the realization of that, but yeah, they find that's what it is. So they find a larger mass of Denna resin. And it's like, I think he has that kind of epiphany, like, oh shit, I guess this is what we're gonna have to do. Yeah.
Yeah, I got some questions on that too, but I'll wait till we get a little further because I was really disappointed in Kavoth.
I guess the only other note that I had, I had a note about her dreams, how we talked about that, about her nightmares. I think she says something like, God damn it. She says something like, maybe I'll sleep through the night. Oh yeah, because like basically they talk about the delirium and the stages, and it's like, oh, maybe I'll sleep through the night for once.
Yeah,
So
he gets exhaustion. Exhaustion is the last stage of it.
So I mean, we kind of talked about it last chapter, but Jesus, man. So if it's that common, now she might just be overemphasizing it, but I started to think what it could be. She has a lot of responsibilities when she's in the Fae. And if she's running 4 Jack-in-the-Boxes, and she's got to keep all the scheduling, she's got to keep the ad campaigns together. One has free taco
when you think
night.
about, like, you're running 5 Jack-in-the-Boxes, and you're in an entirely different dimension.
Yeah.
And you got all these jackasses running your Jack-in-the-Box while you're not there to keep your eye on them. And you got you got Arladin, who's like the owner, who's like let you franchise these out. And he's a hard ass. He's like getting fucking pissed at you for the cold fries, not putting enough ice in the drinks. There's a lot of fucking pressure when you step away and you let the fucking riffraffs run the fucking show.
That's too much mayonnaise.
It's gonna be hard to sleep.
Did you say Arladin? Isn't that Kavoth's dad?
I'm sorry, Abinthy, not Arladin. Abinthy.
Yeah.
Yeah, we determined that Abinthy is the ultimate owner of the Jack-in-the-Boxes, and that Denna is renting it out from him.
I forgot about that part of it, but yeah, she's running a certain sector. She's a district district manager of like a 4 or 5.
Or wait, no, it wasn't Abinthy. It was her patron.
Okay.
Braden.
That makes more
Braden.
sense. Yeah.
It was Braden. Sense. Yeah. I'm sorry. It was Braden. Yeah. That's why he's training fucking Denna, is because he wanted to make sure that she could be responsible enough to run these things.
Oh, yeah. And so the Chandrian hangs out with her for the free food. That's why they have her around.
Yeah.
That was the other part of that. And then, she, well, and, his whole thing's strategy, right? So, yeah. What better strategy than launching that new, free taco night? Ladies' night, free taco.
Yeah, ladies' night at Jack-in-the-Box, man. That shit's hot. Oh, man. Here you go. Fucking ladies' night at Jack-in-the-Box, man. It's just popping.
Grey Del Cinti, when he goes there, he don't get ice in his drinks. You know why? He's cool enough already, man.
Yeah.
Yep. That sounds about right. He sits in the back booth. Sorry, sir, no smoking. And he never budges. They eventually bring him an ashtray.
He just flicks the cigarette in their face, and then lights another fresh one.
I was gonna say they eventually bring him an ashtray. He doesn't use it.
No, he just puts it out on the table when they do.
Flicks it at their face.
So I mean, he was
There,
cool.
pick that up.
Now he's just kind of a dick at this point.
Well, you don't fuck with fucking Grey Dalcenti when he's fucking chilling.
Yeah, you don't tell him what to do, right?
Fucking don't be an asshole. Leave him alone. Dude's the man. It's fucking the Lone Ranger. You don't fuck with the Lone Ranger.
Yeah, I can see him in that back booth with his back against the window. He lays on the table with his duster. You know? He doesn't even lay in the booth. He lays on the table. Just smoking cigs.
He's laying on the table? I like that.
He's ashing in the booth. The booth is a giant ash bin for him. Oh, good old Grey Dalcenti. Man.
All right, you guys ready to go to 78?
Yeah.
Okay, then chapter 78, it's titled Poison. Kvothe and Denna watch the draccus going crazy from atop their perch. When it leaves, they return to the dead man's ruined home and search for something to kill it with. They find twine, and Kvothe flicks Denna in the face. And that was about it.
Yeah.
This is we touched on where the draccus goes up to this big ass oak tree and just annihilates it, massive as a greystone. So it reared up and brought its front legs down on one of the lower branches as if it wanted to climb. The branch, big as a tree itself, practically exploded. And then the draccus threw itself around, hopped and fell, rolling over jagged spurs of rock. It belched a huge gout of flame and charged the fractured oak tree again, striking it with its great blunt wedge of a head. This time it knocked the tree over, causing an explosion of earth and rock as the tree's roots tore out from the ground. All I could think of was the futility of trying to hurt this creature. It was bringing more force to bear against itself than I could ever hope to muster. And then Denna was like, he asked, how could we possibly hurt it? And she's like, we lure it over the side of the cliff. She said matter-of-factly.
Yeah, not
so
bad.
Even though I'm wondering why the twine wouldn't work in place of rope.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's not long enough, and
I mean,
like,
when he goes chicken fishing, he's on top of the arch. He is at least 12 feet.
Yeah,
I don't know. I'm
Yeah,
just wondering why that wouldn't have worked.
I thought the same thing. I'm like, all right, well, it's not rope, but so what? Like, it's a string. It can fucking hold the thing, right? Like, what's the problem?
It does.
Yeah, I don't know.
It actually does hold.
Yeah,
it
yeah, and he does use it. Yeah, with the bucket. So I don't know. Maybe they didn't have a cliff. It kind of just
chalked that one up to one of the holes that I found in the book. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Damn,
maybe.
yeah.
I mean, because
I'm
it doesn't
not sure.
really
Like,
get
I don't
addressed.
know. Like, it might be a situation where, like, because the way what he uses the string for is, like, he just kind of sets it on the ground and he's ready to, like, kind of pull it up. But, like, would that string, if you dangled it over the edge of a cliff, would the string snap and you lose it? Like,
that'd be a big
could
problem.
be a situation.
Oh,
like that.
yeah. Because obviously, if you're using it the way he does use it, there's slack. If he's hanging over a cliff, there's not going to be slack. And maybe it would. You can't fuck if you end up losing all the Denna resin. Well, now we're fucked.
Yeah,
pretty much. I mean, they do have
that
more that they don't use, but still, man.
Was that plan even really thought out all the way? Because, I mean, are you just going to hang it out on a tree branch and hope that that you can lure the draccus out that way, and that he's dumb enough, or how does that work? How are you actually going to? Is there a 3-tiered kind of cliff where there's a cliff and then above that cliff is a smaller cliff?
It seems like they don't have the rope, so they let it go.
Yeah. They didn't fucking try to figure it out.
This is an option. Yeah. So I guess that's probably the issue is with slack,
because it's not like just like a small little bucket. It's like a keg.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a big ass.
So
I mean, it was small compared to the draccus, but it's a big ass fucking keg like bucket.
Right.
So
a small keg.
It might not be able to, hang in it from like a little fucking string. Might not be able to hold that weight.
Yeah.
That could be it.
I like when Kavoth says, well, he's like, what's wrong with my idea? He's like, well, that's not very heroic. I was expecting something with a little more flair. And she's like, you're just upset because your big university brain couldn't think of a way. My plan is brilliant. That was pretty great. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, and then she's like, you got any magic? And he starts thinking about, here's one of the parts that troubles me more than the rope is when he starts thinking about the magic. He's like, he thinks about making a moment of it, and could he even get enough force to like stab it, and then you wouldn't even know if it died. But like I'm like, what about like a bad link? Like, because if you had like a link between chalk and a coin, the piece of chalk becomes so heavy you can't pick it up. What if you made a bad link with the draccus, the iron of the draccus, and you linked it to a coin? Wouldn't that make the draccus, his iron, so heavy that it would just like fucking crush him to the ground where he couldn't fucking rise up?
I like that, Dan. That's profound.
And take steps. Yeah, like that's kind of the things like I think of. Like it's kind of like when we were talking about the pranks you could pull, like make a guy's pants fall down. Why couldn't you make the iron scales so heavy that the draccus couldn't even move by making a bad link? Like that's one of the things like I want to know more from Rothfuss, like how these bad links exactly work. And what would be the function of that? Because like, why can't you do that? Because it seems like that's exactly what you should be able to do. Because why can you make a piece of chalk so heavy that you could barely pick it up if you can't make a draccus scale so heavy that it can't move? Like, I don't understand why you wouldn't be able to do that. So like my thinking, my thought process was make a bad link with the scales so that it's so heavy that it can't even move. And then just like go up and fucking stab it to death, stab it through its fucking eyes and shit.
Well, isn't
there? It can't move.
What are the rules? I mean, isn't one of the rules no energy can be like created or lost? What is it?
Or destroyed? It can be lost, but it's not lost. It created or destroyed.
Okay, but the weight is created. You have to create that weight. It has to. Right, so it's not in a vacuum, right?
Yeah, the energy isn't lost, which is why it would become so heavy.
I don't know, man. I have a feeling Rothfuss would just be like, "You're missing the whole picture here." But I don't really see.
That's what I want to. I want to. Well, that's what I want to know, because like when he makes a link between a piece of chalk and a coin, the chalk is fucking super fucking heavy, or the coin is super fucking heavy. So, like, why can't you do that to the draccus? Like, why couldn't you do that?
Do you remember the steps as he explains them in Hem's class? Do you remember, like, the three? I'm asking if you can tell me them now. I know it's...
I mean, off the top of my head, no. Like, I mean, but that's... The basics of it is like the better the link, the more similar the objects are, the better the link is one of them.
Consanguinity is one of them, right? So I'm trying to tease it out because you're bringing up the point. I'm like, we could deal with it, but I know one's like, I don't know, because when you brought that up about like just drowning someone in a lake, I can't refute it, but it seems like a massive hole in terms of how sympathy works because no one's doing this. Now, I get like malfeasance is a thing and there seems to be this honor amongst thieves or honor amongst gentlemen, right? With the university. But if someone like Ambrose doesn't give a fuck, if he can get away with it, he's going to do what he's going to do. Clearly, he does not give a shit about doing things like that. There's got to be more people like that just don't give a damn and they'll do it. And in this situation, I mean, shit, man, Kavoth would do whatever he's got to do, right? And if that sounds like a much more elegant out of this situation than trying to drug this thing, because how does that work out?
Yeah. Well, it's the fact that we see numerous times where a bad link would make something super fucking heavy by combining two things. Yeah. Like to pick it up, it would make it super fucking heavy. So that can be done You can make bad links, and you can make a piece of chalk weigh significantly more. So I don't see any logical reason why you could not do that to a draccus I would need to know more. I need to know what I'm missing, why you wouldn't be able to do that. And I don't know what I'm missing.
But I mean, obviously that's a big that's a big hole, man. Like, but again, maybe we're missing something. Because again, when I try to step myself through it, it feels like it's the 3 C's, right? Whatever those 3 C's are. There's consanguinity. For some reason, I remember that one. But then there's the other, which, if I remember right, consanguinity is the similarity between things, right? Isn't that what that is? And then it's, no, I remember no energy can be created or whatever the fuck. I don't know. I'm trying to think. But even picturing like how a heat eater works, that's sucking energy, right?
So the 3s are, let's see, the second principle of consanguinity, which says a piece of a thing can represent the whole of a thing. The third is the law of conservation, which says energy cannot be destroyed nor created.
Okay, so is a force
the other one was correspondence.
Creating. Okay, so that's the similarity. But wouldn't you say so can't be created if you're adding weight to something, you're creating an energy, right? Or you're just using gravity.
Yeah, I don't know. You can make a piece of chalk way more. So
yeah.
You should be able to make the iron scales of a draccus way more with a bad link.
Well, didn't the chalk?
There would have to be some aspect of it.
Hold on. So doesn't it just weigh more to the arcanist? Doesn't it just weigh more to the individual trying to lift it? It's not
anybody
that it actually
trying to
weighs
lift that
more...
piece of chalk. Anybody.
Okay, but it's heavier to the person trying to lift it. It doesn't mean the chalk's actually heavier. It's just heavier to lift.
Well, yeah, but that's what I'm saying. But the scales, you have to lift your legs.
Okay,
you have to move. Your body would be heavier.
Okay, but it's heavier to you. It's heavier to the person trying to move it.
No, it's heavier. Period. The energy. It's not the energy cannot be lost or created. So like when you make that piece of chalk heavy, it doesn't matter if you're the person doing it. Anybody who goes and tries to pick up that piece of chalk is going to feel that it's heavier. It's literally heavier because it's not just like, because he even says something along the lines, he's like, it's like you're picking up both coins at the same time, because you are, except for it's more than that because it's a bad link. So it's like picking up 6 coins or, something like that. So for the draccus, it's not like that. Its scales are not only heavier, but it would be significantly heavier to the point where, like, to be able to move would become more cumbersome.
I'm wondering if it is literally, because when you say it's literally heavier, if
it
it's
is.
Okay, but I'm saying if it's literally heavier to the arcanist, if it's literally heavier to the person that's trying to wield this power.
No, anybody.
Okay, so 6 coins could break through the table if the link's bad enough.
Possibly, yeah, possibly.
So
that should be the way it works, because it's not just Denna, when Kvothe and Will and Sim are doing sympathy, and Denna goes to pick up one of the coins, she's like, it's heavy. It's not just for the sympathists.
Yeah. Okay.
It's literally heavier.
All right, that was I needed an example like that, and that does give the example. All right, so yeah, that's a problem. Someone should have ripped him's pants off. Like, clearly, that would have been great.
So, that's what I would like to talk to Rothfuss about it, because that's where my mind goes. Is like, I start thinking about when I hear about the bad links, my mind immediately goes to like pranks, or like when I read about this, it goes to like, well, I would have just fucking linked a piece of paper and the Draccus' scales and fucking weighed that thing down so it couldn't fucking move, or it sinks into the ground.
Real quick here, Dan, I think that we're thinking of the opposite, though, because even though let's say you have similar objects first, if you're, picking one up, you're picking the other one up, you're still picking that weight of the other object up. There's no loss there. If it's a bad link, you're picking that up through kind of a mud, or consider it like using a pulley. You have to pull it twice as far to get it to come up half as much because it's a bad link. And so, but my point was, if you linked a piece of paper to the draccus, the paper would be the thing that's 1,000 pounds. The draccus would be lighter.
Okay, but even if you go that, I've thought about that too. So like the paper would be heavier, but to the draccus it's just paper, so the paper's not adding that much weight to the paper. Okay, do it in reverse then. Link the draccus to a mountain.
Yeah. Okay.
Take a rock of the mountain,
and
link the rock is the mountain. Make a binding to the rock to the mountain, and then the rock to the scales, and just fucking crush that with the weight of a mountain.
Yes, I think that's.
I wonder if,
to me that you should be able to do that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I wonder if you brought this up to Rothfuss, if he literally fought you.
Yeah,
or if he was just like, you know what,
motherfucker,
go fuck yourself, and then just walked out of the room. So when he's up at the
I'm not rewriting the goddamn book.
It was such a tiny little aspect.
Everything.
You gotta just keep digging.
whole reason it's been taking so long to come out with this next book is he's just paranoid someone's gonna think of this shit. He's like, someone's gonna fucking call me on this. I know it. I gotta fucking figure out a way to get out of this. He's been thinking for years, trying to figure out a way to solve this problem. But to me, I mean, that is like, to me, that's I want an explanation on that. I don't know if it's going to be in the books, but I want an explanation why you couldn't just like fucking link someone to a mountain and squish them like a fucking grape immediately.
Yeah, that's problematic. That's well, and it's such a problem that I was just trying to offer the easiest answer possible, because I mean, you'd have to, but I don't know. I don't. That's very problematic. Yeah,
but I don't know. I don't have a good answer on it. I've tried to think of reasons why it wouldn't work, and I can't think of anything, because he has multiple examples where things are, because of bad links, things are heavier. You can't lift them, or they're extremely heavy to lift. So,
hey, maybe
it's a problem. Like, and like, he's also got examples where like bad links rip fucking dude's arms off. He like tries to lift a fucking wagon and rips his arms off. So we know like the weight of these things can do severe damage. So
why not leverage?
Why can't you? Link something to a mountain and fucking just smash it like a grape.
Maybe you're saying the Kvolt's not that advanced. That Dan, you're farther along.
Yeah.
Maybe
nobody in all the years of sympathy has thought of this.
Maybe it's like George Costanza.
If I went to the university, I asked them that, I'd blow all their nips off.
Yeah. They'd all.
Well, maybe. Is that what it sounds like? Maybe it's like a George Costanza thing where it only works for the good things, not for the bad.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, man. That's a tough one to figure out.
But yeah, we don't really we won't come up with a solution for it. That's one we need to talk to Rothfuss to get an explanation. At least I'm not able to puzzle it out on what I've read.
The only other, I mean, it's a short chapter, but one of the things that I think is definitely worth, it's clear, but it speaks to Kvothe. Man, he could have just said, fuck it, let's get the hell out of here. Obviously, he's got, but basically, I mean, he's doing the decent thing, saying like, he could just jet, but he's basically like, look, I don't want to see this thing just like, because the last place or clearly recently he was at a place that smelled like a person. It's like, dude, it's going to go to this town, or there's a likelihood it could go to a town. You just basically wipe people out. So he takes the responsibility, he takes the onus on himself to get involved, and to try to do something about it. So it speaks to his
same
his
thing
heroic,
with Denna too.
Yeah.
Yeah, she doesn't object.
Because she's like, you don't need to sell me. I know it's the right thing to do. She
Yeah.
looked up at me and grinned. Besides, we get to be heroes and kill the dragon. Its treasure is just a perk. So I think these chapters really throw a wrench in. Like, some people believe Denna is a Chandrian or working for the Chandrian. And I don't see how that is possible with these chapters, because she does have a very strong conscience and she wants to do good. She's willing to sacrifice her own well-being to help other people out. I mean, it's a very noble aspect of her, and that is not fucking what you would expect from the Chandrian. And then also you get when she, we'll get to her shortly, when she talks about how she had pneumonia as a kid. That doesn't sound like fucking Chandrian at all. You could say she's lying, but that's fucking bullshit. She's not lying.
Lie.
The whole point of that part is her inhibitions drop, so she is telling the truth. And it's revealed like later on when Kavoth's like, "Here, I got you this fucking tea you can drink. It'll help your breathing." She's like, "How'd you know about my trouble breathing?" And he's like, "You told me when you're fucking all fucking methed out." So she didn't realize she was revealing truth. Her inhibition had dropped, but she was revealing truths.
No, it's very clear.
And it's also demonstrated when he talks about, like, your patron beats you, and she's like, "No, I hit a tree," and he's like, "No, you told me." And so it's confirmed twice that what she was telling was truths, that she had her inhibitions been there, she wouldn't have revealed. So it's a clear demonstration that she's telling him the truth, but her inhibitions are down so that she's willing to say things she wouldn't say normally.
Well, I mean, if you read the chapters, it's very clear that that's what he's doing. If he wasn't doing that, it's bad writing. So
yeah,
I typically err on the side of good writing, because, give him the freaking benefit of the doubt of, with how quality it is. So, yeah.
Despite the holes that me and Dan keep finding.
Yes. Despite the sympathetic binding problem that we have here. And, there's the other problem that we had with Kavoth's little, trying his juvenile attempt at the wind. I mean, it's another sympathy thing.
Yeah.
It's another binding issue where that's, I love how, like, our big critique, though, is like, dude, he invented this. And we're like, but it's not as clean as we would like it to be. Look, Newton,
sorry, man,
motherfucker.
Like, if you're going to come up with, that's the trouble when you come up with magic and you root it in some real strong principles, is it opens up the door for people to be like, well, hold on. You said it does this. Well, what about this situation?
Yeah, that's a hard one, man. I guess it's worth it. I guess it's worth the risk. To put it out there, because we're still reading the book, still talking about it, and a lot of other people are too.
Well,
so.
I'll just say it again.
Well, and I don't ever hear anybody talk about that aspect. That's not something like I've picked up from going on Reddit or rereads. I've never heard anybody talk about, like, why don't you just fucking squish the fucking draccus like a grape, by combining it to a mountain. It's just, that's how my mind works. Yeah. My mind immediately, I already have a mind that's oriented to, like, give me a problem, I want to analyze it and try to figure out how to solve it. So if you put a puzzle in front of me, I'm going to try to solve the puzzle. And so when I'm looking at, like, how would I kill the draccus, I'm not looking at what Kvothe did. I'm looking at, okay, given what I know about this world, what would I do if I was Kvothe? And so that's where my mind immediately goes. I'd be like, I'd fucking smash the thing.
So Dan, Fitz, I don't know if you noticed, but Dan just quoted Vanilla Ice.
I missed it. What did he say?
If there's a problem, I'll solve it.
I'll solve it.
I didn't. I wish I had quoted him, but I paraphrased him.
Dan is Vanilla Ice.
Yeah,
Just check
that
out the hook,
motherfucker's
Dan.
Fucking legendary.
Check out the hook, and then and the next chapter, I think the DJ revolves it. So
Yeah. The last part like I had is I like when he's like, I don't gamble with the lives of people I care for. She listened to me, her expression somber, then the grin blossomed back onto her face. I like your manly bravado. Do it some more.
I didn't think of this when I read it, but I thought of it when you read it. It would have been funny if he was like, I don't gamble with the people I care about. No, I'm just fucking with you. I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
I don't gamble with the people I care about, but I don't care about you, so we can do whatever.
I'm just joking. Whatever.
But with you, let's fucking roll them dice.
No, but I this is one of the, not one of the only times, but is this Denna stoned progresses, she gets more and more her advances get more and more
promiscuous,
obvious,
a little bit,
obvious,
right?
Yeah.
Coming on to him a little bit.
Yep.
Why don't you come in the water?
Yeah, he does a good job of making her become, more and more inebriated.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty it's pretty great. I mean, he writes it very well where it's, it's believable that she is. What I also like about it is it seems like she becomes more of herself. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's what happens with a lot of people. They get stoned, they become a more in tune version of themselves. Which I used to say that all the time, where it's like, well, I don't know. Every now and then, exactly. And you hang out with somebody a few times, and then they get a little drunk, and then sometimes you're like, yeah, I don't like this dude. I'm not a big fan of this guy, man. Like the mask is off, and he's being himself, and the dude's a freaking dork or whatever. Man.
The last part I want to mention, this isn't really part of the chapter, but is not going to be a really good specific moment to bring it up. But we talked about last episode where the Mauthen Farm might be as far as a historical place with the Greystones and the barrows. It's called Barrow Hill and that kind of information. So like, where could it be? I think the most likely answer is this is where the Adem were when the 99 Stories was created. Because when Cheyenne tells that story, she goes, you should know that in those days, use of the bow was very common. The skill of it was much prized. We were shepherds and much set on by our enemies, and the bow was the best tool we had to defend ourselves. So the shepherd part sticks out because the pig farmer, the Shem, he talks about how good that area was for his pigs to graze. So even though like he felt this woods was like fucked up, he was like, it's good enough for grazing for my pigs that it's worth it. And then she also mentions that, as I have said, this was long years and distant miles from where we sit. So it was very where they are currently located. When the 99 Stories was created, they were distant miles from where they ended up. So that would obviously, the Mauthen Farm is distant miles from Adimre. And then also, when Cheyenne tells the story of the Chandrian, she tells about how there were 7 that betrayed cities, but there was one who remembered the Lothani and did not betray a city. And when you think about the vase that is found, there's the 7 Chandrian, and then there is 1 Amir on there. So there's 8 people. So the only person who tells a story about the Chandrian plus 1 is Cheyenne. She tells, the story of the Chandrian and one who remembered the Lothani. So that could be the Chandrian and the 1 Amir that is on the vase. So it could be that vase was created by them, because obviously this story that they tell about the Chandrian is something that gets passed down, and so they could have created a vase about it. And it could be also too, when the on the 99 Stories, the 2 people, their names were Aeth and Wraith, and Eighth was like standing in by some trees, and then Wraith went up to a hill. She was standing on a hill. That's where, when they had their arrow fight, that's where they were. So she was on a hill. The Mauthen Farm's got that hill there where the Greystones are. That's where Kvothe and Denna hide out from the draccus, and that's where they're going now. So when you combine all three of those things, the shepherd, the distant miles, the vase, the hill, it all fits perfectly with the A-Dim's 99 story. So it could, I think that's the most likely guess of what was there.
Yeah, as far as that goes, you're blowing my mind with stuff, because why would ever relate those two stories to what they're doing now? I mean, I am looking for things, like I said when I brought up the battlefield stuff, but why would
it does?
I guess it makes sense that because one of them was A-Dim and wasn't remember the Lithani and then become Chandrian. But again, you're blowing my mind with that, because
what it makes me think is that because I'm curious, like, how is it going to be revealed what is there? So if what I'm saying is right, it could easily be revealed in that he figures out why there's the 7 Chandrian plus the Amir on that vase, and then it connects in his mind with the story that Shayan told him, and so then he realizes, oh shit, that location is where Eighth and Wraith fell. It could be an easy thing where, like, one more piece of information is delivered to Kvothe, and he ties all those things together in his mind real quickly. So it'd be an easy way to reveal to the reader exactly what that is there, and all the pieces fit, and it wouldn't have to be someone going to Kvothe and telling him the full fucking story, like, this is what was going on here, this is why this is there, this is why this is there. It would only just one piece. He's only missing one piece of information that connects the vase to the story that Shayan told, and as soon as that piece of information is given to him that connects those two, then he could piece all the rest together in his mind. So it's just set up so well, and it could be revealed so easily, that it makes me think that's the likely answer.
It is begging for significance, in the sense that why talk about the fort? Why talk about all that stuff? You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, there has to be some significance to the area. I have a feeling there's going to be a real utility in the Greystones being utilized, like, particularly, like those channels going to and from. I just get the feeling, like, in book 3, they're literally going to go to the Circle of Greystones to go to a particular place, and they're seeking that specific place. You know what I mean? I have a feeling there's going to be knowledge gained that they can literally utilize those portals to where there'll be more knowledge about where specifically they can go through those areas, and then there will be a reason. There's a reason why you'd want to go to this place. There'd be a reason why you want to go to some other place because of the history, and there's something there. There's some significance to that area.
Yeah,
you know, I mean, history is everything.
You have those Greystones on the hill, and you have the Greystone in Dimray. There's a Greystone where, when Kvothe fights that girl to get his place in the school, like, it's by a Greystone. So, you know, where they have their ceremonial fights, there's a Greystone there. So that could connect, you know, why the A-Dim were there, and then they eventually made it there. It could be that they were traveling through these fucking portals at that time. They had that ability, knowledge. So that's how, you know, that they ended up where they ended up, is they traveled there.
It is interesting, too, when their story is told. I mean, they're almost like the Jews of our world, where they get banished from places and they have to go somewhere else, and they're constantly traveling to find a place to live. Yeah, very
similar with the Dimmaru. You have a Dimray, a Dimmaru. Their names are similar. Fitz with the Ruach. I mean, there's clearly something going on between a Dimray, a Dimmaru, Ruach. Like, there's got to be something tying all these together. Like,
Well,
I cannot believe that these are all just independent pieces.
Well, and to layer on that, the Adem and the Ademaru they kind of don't fit into society in a lot of ways, like the larger sense of society, which again that feeds into why they're having to go to other areas. And the Adem basically make their home where they can make their home, and then when that doesn't work out, they're making their home somewhere else. It's so great too, though. Like I love that their whole their backstory, mythology, and all that, because they're extraordinarily principled people. You know, and it seems like other cultures don't tend to know much about them at all, or think about them, or even account for them. But they're extraordinary in terms of how like principled they are with what they do, and they look at everyone else as absolute savages.
Yeah, and I mean that's kind of in that 99 stories that's the origin story of where it all came from. So you even learn, because the 99 stories are the beginning of the Lethani. Like when she's laying in bed dying, she tells him the 99 stories, and the 99 stories were the first teaching of the Lethani.
Yeah, that tells me though that I think Rothfuss is a Jay-Z fan. You think?
Yeah, definitely.
That's his big. You're just giving him a shout out.
Yep.
He's hoping he can get Jay-Z to sign one of his books. Hang that up, put up on his like an autograph, like him to autograph, over the front of the cover. Like this is my favorite book that I wrote because it's got Jay-Z's. This whole book's dedicated to Jay-Z.
Well, he really needs Jay-Z to read. Well, he also needs him to read about 1,600 pages to get to that spot. So hopefully,
Jay-Z's read this book like at least 15 times by now.
You think so?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Outside of Mickey Rourke, Jay-Z is going to be our number 1 fan. Number 2 fan.
I forgot about Mickey Rourke.
And Bill Bellamy. Where's he falling? 2 or 3?
Oh, yeah. And his son Baron, yeah.
Oh, his son Baron is going to hate this. His son Baron's going.
Bobby Bonilla?
Is he still alive?
Bonilla's into it? Huh? Yeah, he's what? Yeah, he's still alive.
I guess I just assumed.
Assume what? He's dead?
Yeah. It's best to assume everybody's dead. They all die at some point.
Just
anyway.
assume everyone's dead.
Yeah. At some point, you're not going to be wrong.
That'd be interesting. So if you ran into Bobby Bonilla, if you were like you're at like a little party, whatever, dude walks up and he's like, "Oh, hey," and he says, "Hi, I'm Bobby Bonilla." You'd be like, "Oh shit, you're alive?"
Yeah.
Oh man, I thought you were dead.
No, I assumed you were dead.
That'd be awkward introductions, man. Super awkward introductions. I have nothing else on that chapter.
Yeah, that's it from me.
All right. Well, chapter 79 is called Sweet Talk. Kvothe and Denna return to the Waystone Hill with a plan to poison the draccus. They lure it in with a large fire and watch from atop the archway while Denna expresses her feelings for Kvothe and then confides in him that she's being battered by Master Ash as she dozes off to sleep.
Yeah, so it starts off with Kvothe letting the audience know that he is not a fan of rape. He is anti-rape.
I was going to say, he does say there are names for people who take advantage of women who are not in full control of themselves. None of those names will ever rightfully be applied to me. When he says there are names for people who take advantage of women who are not in full control of themselves, is it Dan? Is the name of those people, is it Dan?
No.
Is it Chester? What are those names?
What it does bring up is I feel like when someone comes out of the blue and they're like, "Hey, I just want you to know I am not a rapist." I'm going to be like,
that guy's.
Now I kind of feel like you are.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like you are because I feel like the default is to assume you're not. If you tell me you aren't, then I'm gonna have some questions like, why are you telling me this?
Yes. Very good. Yes, that's one of the. It's kind of the similar with like I would never kill
says,
somebody.
Look, you're gonna you're gonna hear some stories about me because these girls just hate me anyway. But
yeah, man,
don't believe them.
Like everybody has these ideas about me, and they're not true. Dude, I'm telling you right now, they're not true.
Kavoth's laying it on real thick. Like he makes
rapey,
a point
bro.
of it. Makes it a point of it, like he doesn't go and join her when she's like singing, lewd songs in the water, and then in this situation, it's like, hey, I'm not a rapist, and then like he saves those girls from rape and murders all those people because they raped those two girls. Like, dude, you're laying it on real fucking thick, man.
I get it.
Kind of making me a little suspicious about you, Kavoth.
Yeah,
I get what you're saying. Mm-hmm. So you're saying in the tent, not only did he bone Denna here in the creek, but he boned both those girls in the tent too. I get it. I'm with you.
And then he was like,
he
no,
just
I murdered those
happened
guys
to
who
be
did that.
around fucking drug girls who pass out, and then he just both times he makes a point like, hey, but I'm not a rapist. I wouldn't do that. I'll fucking kill someone that would rape people.
I just
like,
figured,
okay, buddy.
I just realized. So that's what all this is. All of this story that he's spinning
he's trying to deal with his guilt.
Yeah, no, yeah. So people know some things about Kavoth, and there's a couple things they know about him.
Yeah,
and all of this story is
he's trying to head it off.
He's just trying to get out.
He's like, what?
He's trying to get out in front of it, change the narrative.
What? No, I didn't rape a bunch of women. I killed an angel.
I would never do that. I would never do that. Not only would I not do that, I'll kill anyone who says I would do that, and the people that do it. Be like, all right, dude, sounding kind of rapey, bro.
Saying he doth protest too much.
Little rapey, Kavoth. Little creep.
That's a really good point, though, Dan. Yeah, because when someone does do that, it's like, whoa, no one was talking about this. What the fuck, bro?
Yeah.
So along the same lines, I'd like to give a tip to our listeners. If you come across a girl, or if you're, a guy, and they say, honesty's everything to me, and trust. I gotta have honesty, and I gotta have trust. It's usually because they have issues because they're not trustworthy or honest. Just throwing that out there. It's been my experience.
Yes, projection is a major thing.
Yeah, it's a real thing.
It's a major human trait. The people who, there's a reason he doth protest too much, or whatever that saying is. Like, it's because that's how it is.
Yes.
Like when people are like hyper focused on one particular fucking area, it's probably because they got some fucking demons in their closet.
Yes, when you're dating someone who accuses you of lying a lot, when there's no sign that you're lying, you have no skeletons to show. They've been lying a lot to you. That's what's happening. Yeah. The guilt is seeping through their pores and through their brain, and now it's spewing out of their face.
I had a girlfriend who would tell a lot of little lies, like to her friends and shit, as she's like talking on the phone, and I would always like point out, like, I was like, there was like literally no reason for you to lie there. I was like, it was just like, it was an empty lie. It didn't make you look better. It didn't help you in any regard. You just lied for no reason. And then when she'd like be like, I'm telling you the truth, I'm like, yeah, but here's the thing. If you were lying, you would tell me that you're telling the truth. Yeah. And you know that. I know that. So why are we bullshitting each other here? It's like, there's no way you can fucking tell me, like, if, I'm telling you the truth. Like, well, yeah, but you would lie in that situation. I've seen you do it 1,000,000 times.
She's like,
over nothing. So, of course, you would do it over something big. Like, you do it over little things.
She's like, Dan, but I'm not lying. Dan says, we're going in circles in here. I'm out of here.
Yeah.
He just, no matter what she says, Dan's like, I can't trust that. I don't believe it.
Yeah, that's a big problem.
Yeah.
You said you were busy that time. You said you were busy that time that your friend wanted to go out. You were lying then. You're lying now.
Yeah.
Just building a case in the back of your mind.
Yeah, I'm not one of those people that will will tell myself the pretty lies. Like, if I know I'm with a liar, I'm not going to just believe what they tell me. Yeah. I'm going to trust my gut. They wouldn't lie to me. But then, then they get back into, they get up to the hill, and you get a lot of great things from Denna. She starts admitting things, that she normally, wouldn't. Before that, I guess we should bring up it's pretty interesting, like when he decides on how to make the poison. How much to give the
measure
draccus.
Yeah.
Because they bring that up first, and so he's like, there's no reason to give the whole thing to it. It'd be wasteful. And she's like, and you could use the money, Dennis said. And he said, I admitted, but honestly, I was thinking more about your harp. You lost your lyre in that fire. I know what it's like to be without an instrument. But they start going through, and so he makes a bunch of balls, enough that would kill Denna, and then he's like, I tripled the dose from there, then tripled it again to be sure. The result was a ball the size of a large ripe grape. I guess the draccus weighed 5 tons, 800 stone. I guess Denna at 8 or 9 stone, 8 to be on the safe side. That meant I needed 100 times that grape-sized dose to kill the draccus. Made 10 grapes, then mashed them together, the size of an apricot. I made 9 more apricot-sized ball and set them on a wooden bucket, and we had brought from the dinner plantation. And then it progresses from there, and then he's like, Denna looks at it, is like, it doesn't seem like much. He's like, yeah, right, yeah, fucking, tripled it from there. Made 27 more balls or whatever. And then, like, he eventually gets it to, they got a third of the drugs. And he's like, I thought of all the things I could buy her and all this and the things I could do with the money. And he's like, then I thought of the fucking draccus running through that town, destroying everything. He's like, and Denna was like, we should double it again. And he's mirroring his thoughts.
Yeah.
So you get, again, it's another good example of Denna does have a conscience. And so even though you got these dollar bill signs in both their heads, they're still like, yeah, but I'd rather lose that money than take the chance. And so does 2 things. Shows their kind of personality, their character, and it also shows that it gives the answer, why not just give the whole thing to the draccus? And it shows that he's like, all right, this little amount would kill it, and then I quadrupled it from there, and then doubled that, and then doubled that. And so, like, he went above and beyond on giving this thing enough that should have killed it. So to justify why he didn't give the whole thing to it. They give he gives a good justification for why that happened.
Yeah, he definitely fully threshed that out. Why he gave him what he did. I'll just jump ahead real quick because there was a certain point before the draccus saw the lights from the fire where Kvothe was like, I should probably throw out the rest of it, but I didn't because if it would attract attention my way. He just kind of fumbled through it, and it was like, no, Kvothe, why are you not throwing the rest of it out there to kill this thing?
At that point,
well, no, he explained he didn't want to. He was like, he wasn't saying like I felt like I needed to give it the rest. He was like, even if I wanted to give it the rest, I couldn't risk throwing it out there and getting it to turn around and see the fire.
Yeah.
He's like, the risk reward wasn't there. Like to give it more. He's like, I already gave it plenty. If that's not going to kill it, the rest is likely not going to kill it either. So it's that if I throw this shit out there and it turns its head, it's going to fucking bound off towards the city. And that's what happened. As soon as it turned its head, it fucking took off towards that fucking town.
I was confused. I thought when he was saying he'd turn his attention towards him, but he was saying he's in.
No, he's talking about the fire.
The fires themselves. Okay,
yeah.
I understand.
He was he was literally like waiting there with bated breath, hoping, just like hope upon hope, please don't fucking turn.
Yeah,
because if he does, it's everyone's fucked, and it happens. But it's. Well, I was just gonna say he does tell Denna about the fishery fire. I don't know if I'm skipping past what Dan was talking about, but
no, that's what I was gonna bring up there.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Yeah, he gets out his little heroic story.
Yeah.
I can see. I mean, I believed him when he said, yeah, it was that, but also because I wanted to make sure she knew that I didn't just, stand her up.
Yeah, no, for sure.
I can see that. Yeah.
Yeah, he's like,
for sure. That was.
And the added bonus was, she gets to know that, you saved that girl.
Yeah, he says
Yeah.
he was. He's
You are a
he's
hero.
young and male and desperately wanted to impress her as well, but also he missed the lunch due to circumstances that he could not control.
Yeah, and then you get Denna really getting inebriated, and she's like, "You have the sweetest face. It's like the perfect kitchen."
It's so great.
Like fucking, and he's like, how's your breathing? She's like, normal, tight but normal. My heart beat a little faster at that. What do you mean by that? I have trouble breathing, she said. My chest gets tight sometimes. It's like breathing through pudding. She laughed. Did I say pudding? I meant molasses, like a sweet molasses pudding. And then, I need to listen to your breathing, I said, but I don't have any tools here, so if you could unbutton your shirt a little, I need to press my ear against your chest. Denna rolled her eyes and unbuttoned more of her shirt than was altogether necessary. Now that one is entirely new, she said archly, sounding more for a moment like her normal self. I've never heard anyone try that before. And then I like this part when he's like, it's slow but strong, I said. It's a good heart. Is it saying anything? Nothing I can hear, I said. Listen harder. And then he just like rolls right over that, and like she's telling, she's trying to tell him like, I love you. And he just rolls right over it. And he's just like, take a few deep breaths and don't talk. I need to listen to your breathing. And then she's like, she exhaled and I felt her breath warm against the air rushed in and I felt one of her breasts pressing against my arm. She exhaled and I felt her breath warm against the back of my neck. Goose flesh broke all over my body. I could picture Arwell's disapproving stare. And I like that, she's trying to fucking tell him she loves him, and he's getting fucking super horny, fucking because her breast touched his arm, and she breathed on the back of his neck.
It kind of felt like that was all on purpose. Denna totally doing that shit on purpose.
Yes, and then
get that?
Yes,
it could have been.
It seemed like it to me, and then
that's way I took.
But then what we also get later is like she's like, when she's high as shit, she's basically like, yeah, I know you don't look at me this way. She's kind of telling him like, dude, you're kind of fucking up. Like you're kind of putting it to the place where it's like, I'm gonna basically give up and not give a shit because you make no move whatsoever. And it's like she's making these moves and he never does anything. So I don't know. It feeds towards that, which that's also been laid out from the beginning with them.
That whole section, I think it's important in a few regards. Like the first part was, I had pneumonia when I was just a tiny baby, Denna said with no particular inflection. That's why my lungs aren't good. It's horrible not being able to breathe sometime. Denna's eyes were half closed as she continued, almost as if she were talking to herself. I stopped breathing for 2 minutes and died. Sometimes I wonder if this isn't some sort of mistake, if I should be dead. But if it isn't a mistake, I have to be here for a reason. But if there is a reason, I don't know what that reason is. That's hugely important. For one, because a lot of people think she could be an angel or she could be the Chandrian. I think that throws a huge pebble in that fucking theory, is the fact that when she was a baby, she got pneumonia and she died for a second. She's clearly not like an immortal. She's not immortal like a Telu or a Haliax or any of these characters like Felurian. These are immortal beings. She is not immortal. She almost died of pneumonia as a baby. So to me, that rules out the possibility of her being one of these immortal characters.
It's also pretty great just in the sense of what it sets up, but it's also just to like theme period for any human beings, trying to figure, it's one of the deep questions that we deal with. What is it that I'm here for? Why am I still here? Especially someone that almost lost their life. Why am I still here? Why didn't I die? That sort of thing. But then it does also feed into the first thing he ever said to her. I was just wondering why you're here. Those 7 words again. And, and she's like, that's what I've been wondering the same time for so long. It's kind of like that, feeds into her like, dude, you had me at fucking hello type situation. Because he always goes like, he's driving right at her even when he doesn't know he is. Which is what we've talked about.
Yeah.
He's always killing it, and then he just doubts himself so far that he's just even beyond friend zone.
This part, and in Severin, but this part specifically, it's very frustrating because it's clear her inhibitions are down and that she is revealing how she truly feels. Like when she's like, you always know where you're doing. Which is funny when the way she says that, but then she's like, you're important with your green eyes looking at me like I mean something. It's okay that you have better things to do. It's enough that I get you sometimes, once in a while. I know I'm lucky for that, to get you just a little. I know you don't think of me, she trailed off. It's best to humor people in delirium, lest they turn violent. I think of you all the time, Denna. I said, don't patronize me, she said crossly. Then her tone softened again. You don't think of me like that. That's fine. But if you're cold too, you could come over here and put your arms around me, just a little. And then she's like, you're so gentle, you never push. She trailed off again, resting more heavily against my chest. Then she roused herself. You could, push more, just a little. And then you get when he's hanging on to her, he's like, this was the best moment of my life. And then when she removed the blanket, put it around him, and then they laid, curled up, spooned together, he's like, no. Take that back. This is the best moment of my life.
Yeah,
it's crazy though, man.
Right there.
Yeah. Well, it's crazy.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I was just gonna say, man, he's so obsessed with not being that guy, like that he won't even like share the moment with her. He won't even like. She's being very frank with him, and he's like, "Oh, I'm just humoring her." It's like, I mean, she's trying to fucking like tell you what the real deal is without, all their bullshit they always have going back and forth. And in his mind, he's so playing doctor and playing, drug spotter over here, like I was saying before, that he won't even have like the real emotional, but like
he's not treating it as if she is telling him the truth.
He's not taking her seriously.
He's like, oh, this is drug talk. Like, no, yeah, but that's because her inhibition is down. It's still true.
Yeah,
still real. Just like she told you she can't breathe, that shit's real. Just like she told you Master Ash beat her ass, that shit's real.
That's what I mean. That's what I mean about him always missing the signals. These are fucking as blatantly clear as they can be.
He didn't miss the signal with Master Ash. He didn't miss the signal with her breathing. He understood those were real things.
Yes,
the only thing he like, and that is like his like conscious fucking.
That's what I mean. That's what I'm saying. He gets in his own way. He does it with Fella. He does it with every time there's a clear sign. Although he notices with Fella what's going on, but every time there's a clear sign coming from Denna, he's got this agenda in his mind that gets in the way. And that was kind of one of the things that I continuously see with Kvothe is that when he doesn't think as much, when he follows his instincts, things work out better for him. When he's got this agenda in his mind that he's playing a role, because he's playing a role here as, the honorable doctor.
But he is so convinced that no one would want to be with him that if someone says they want to be with him, he thinks it's preposterous. Even like,
but she says the same thing.
He wanted it to be.
She says the same thing here about her in his eyes.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it's a very that's their similar dynamic. But like Kvothe, when it was the Chandrian, and he thought it was the Chandrian was responsible, and then Denna was like explained like, no, it couldn't be the Chandrian. He gave it up immediately. But like when people tell him, hey, Fella's really into you, it's like, nah, fuck, she's not into me. She's just friendly. Or like Denna clearly likes you, and you're clearly in love with her. And he's like,
he's always got an excuse.
It's almost like
he can't, like in that situation, like he normally he could step back and he can listen to people and be like, yeah, you're right. But on just that one issue, like his self-esteem is just completely dominant.
It's really strange too, because the more she lays it on thick, the more he does like this cognitive obliviousness. Where he knows that he's doing.
Yeah.
He knows that he's doing it. He's doing it on purpose. He's acknowledging that he's doing it by saying, "Well, you got to humor her because she's messed up, or she's messing around in the creek, and he's like, well, I made sure that I was way far away because when it's you don't necessarily you don't have to be that guy. You don't have to be somebody who's going to do something that's wrong, but you could at least take part in the acknowledgement that she's telling you some hard truths that she is embarrassed about saying otherwise, but she's obviously into you. Acknowledge it, Kvoth. Acknowledge it.
I mean, shit. Yeah, Sim and Will. They're like, she's coming to look for you. She finds you, and oh no, and he's always got an excuse. He's always got a reason behind it. And it's something about this also almost and I brought this up last time, but it almost made me feel like when he disengages, like again when he's up there with, and I know he's in a different state, but in this actually happened quite recently. He's up there with Elodin on the roof, and Elodin's like trying to like really get in and tell him some real secretive, type of enlightening shit, and he's just like, all right, well, I'm going to go. Like, he just completely doesn't listen. Like, he's disengaged. His mind just switches off. And I think Dan's right, though. I think the way to probably to look at it or to digest it is in the vein of his self-esteem's so freaking low, he can't imagine anyone would actually want him, which is such a strange, it's a strange, and I know we've talked about this quite a bit, but it's such a strange place for his personality to be in, because of his accomplishments, because of his abilities, because of all the traits that he knows he has, and the cockiness even that he has in certain situations. But when it comes to women, man,
and even more there, so bro. Because she's telling him point blank at this point.
Yeah, it's like he's cut. It's like there's a portion of himself that is cut off from the world, and probably part of that's self-defense. He can't allow someone that close. And the ones that get...
I don't think that's it, because if Denna just out and out fucking told him dead sober, like, I want to be with you, be with me, he would fucking jump at the chance.
No, but
so I don't think it's a matter of he can't let Denna close. It's he is not willing to risk being wrong.
No, but that's what I mean.
And he thinks he is wrong.
But that's what I mean. It's that ultimate vulnerability. He's not allowing it. He gets there with Ari somewhat. He kind of
he's not willing to make the first move with Denna. He's not willing to make the first move.
Well,
but if she made the first move,
she's making some moves.
Yeah, but I mean, there's a reason. He has reason to doubt it because she is on fucking drugs and she's not telling him this shit. But like, I mean, there are hints, but they're subtle hints. I mean, they're
complicated.
She's not sitting there saying, I want to be with you.
No, but
be with me. But, if she said that, he would fucking jump at the chance.
Yeah, no, I hear you. And what's so genius about the way Rothfuss is doing it, why it's frustrating, is they are complicated. When it's delivered, it's complicated by she's on drugs now. So he's got to take it with grains of salt, right? Like everything, anytime these things come in, he has a reason to doubt in some way, shape, or form. So to have that be complicated it's great. It makes it more complicated for us. That builds in what you guys don't like, which is the tension, right? That keeps you reading, man.
Yeah, then you get the reveal that fucking Master Ash fucking laid the fucking beat down on her, and I like this is where like it sets up that there's got to be a violent interaction between Kvoth and her patron. I think it sets it in stone here, just with like when he hears that fucking Master Ash beat her, just the pure rage and the wanting to just throttle this fucking dude. And it comes out later too, where he's like, if I ever fucking see this dude, I will fucking kill him. But he's like, a man who could do that to you, he's not worth your time. Not one moment of it. It's not a matter of him being only half a loaf. He's rotten through. You deserve better. Who knows what I deserve, she said. He's not my best loaf. He's it. Him or hungry. You have other options, I said, then stalled, thinking of my conversation with Diak. I got you, she said dreamily. I could hear the warm, sleepy smile in her voice, like a child tucked into to bed. Will you be my dark-eyed Prince Gallant, protect me from pigs, sing to me, whisk me away to tall trees? She trailed off to nothing. I will, I said, but I could tell by the heavy weight of her against my arm that she had finally fallen asleep.
Well, there's your invitation you were asking for, bro. There it is.
Yeah.
That you just brought up. I mean, it's plain as day. Will you be my Prince Gallant? Will you ride me like, wait, is that what she was saying?
You know, it's like, it's one of those things where, like, he can't step out of himself and see what's going on. It's obvious to anybody else around. It's obvious to us as readers. It's obvious to Will and Sim. It's obvious to Fella. It's obvious to anybody who sees them together or hears about them. Like, or they understand what's going on. But normally, you see in other situations that Kvothe can, if someone points it out to him, he can step back and be like, yeah, you're right. But not with this. Not with his valuation of himself. Like, that is not fucking changing. He does not see himself as worthy of, you know, being someone's partner, being loved long term.
Yeah,
he can barely accept it from his friends. Like, when his friends do something nice for him, he breaks into fucking tears. He can just he struggles with his self-worth as a partner, as a friend, or any of this kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's pretty obvious too.
Yeah, he's got some issues, bro. Maybe he does need some Denna resin.
Yeah.
Maybe he needs to loosen up. You know?
Hard streets of Tarbean will do it to you, man.
Fucking they needed to get a little fucking dinnered out together.
Yeah, that might have worked out better.
But that was it for me on that chapter.
I think that's all I had.
Okay, well, chapter 80 is designated Touching Iron. The draccus approaches again. Kvothe chicken fishes with the Denna resin successfully. However, unfortunately, the resin has little effect, and the animal notices the light from the fires from the harvest festival in Traben and turns its attention on the town. Kvothe follows it through the forest and into Traben. He finds the town rampaged and inflamed. Kvothe climbs and dashes from rooftop to the town square. From there, Kvothe uses sympathy in order to weaken the town fire, set a giant oak tree ablaze, lure the draccus, draw it in close with Denna, and crush it with the church's iron wheel. And speaking of wheels, while we're at it, let's roll through chapter 81, dubbed Pride. In this short chapter, as Kvothe looks down upon his fresh kill, the building beneath him begins to crumble. He jumps and grabs for a tree branch, but it breaks, and he falls and gets knocked out cold.
Yeah, you get, like, in the very, very beginning, you get a very common situation that pretty much I would imagine, you know, almost every guy has had, where, like, you're curled up with a girl, and, like, even though, like, you know, your back hurts, your arms, like, falling asleep, but you don't want to move, like, even though it's fucking painful and it's uncomfortable, like, you don't want to move because you like being next to this fucking girl. And so he's in this super uncomfortable position, but then he's like, when he hears the draccus, he's like, I'll fucking give my arm for just to get fucking 5 more minutes of this.
Yeah, earlier he's doing everything he could to get the draccus to calm. Now he's like, dude, just fucking wait, bro.
Yeah, it's a very, very common thing that, you know, pretty much every guy, and then, you know, give it a month, and then it's like, get the fuck off my arm. I need to get some sleep.
Yeah, are you still here?
Nah, that's like, really
God,
funny,
you're
man.
hot. Your fucking hair's in my face. Like,
aren't
get
you going home?
off of me.
That's
Yeah.
That's really funny, dude. Yeah, because in the beginning you're like, my leg will be asleep, my back hurts, I'm sweating, but whatever, man. This is awesome. And then, yeah, like you said, like 2 weeks later, you're like, all right, get off me. Let's get the show on the road here.
Can I pay you to leave?
Like, yeah, it's if we're spooning, I'm the little spoon from now on. That's how this thing's going. Done being the big spoon.
Can we just be 2 spoons back to back? With some distance between each other?
Yeah. Yeah. Fucking we'll caress our asses together. That's fucking good enough. But yeah, then he's, you know, he sees the draccus gulp up the fucking Denna resin. He gets that pang of regret as he's like, you know, he sees this majestic fucking beast and he's like, man, I feel bad to fucking kill this thing. And then also similar to that, like, you know, you get fucking tired, like, fucking get off my arm. He's like, goes from like, yeah, I feel so bad to kill this. And then like 10 minutes later, he's like, all right, die already. What the fuck are you doing? Fucking just die, you fucking piece of shit.
It's this like very quickly after he eats, you know, he starts darting around. That was what I was talking about last episode, where it's like that's one of the things because it keeps being emphasized how large it is, but when you consider something this large that can move super fast, for me it just makes it that much more like scary, you know. Just the fact that it has the ability to have that much like speed on top of being massive. It's just like this fucking.
Yeah, I'm picturing this thing after we have in the last chapter, the one chapter where he knocks down that tree. I'm just picturing this thing galloping, 2 tons through the forest, like blasting trees down left and right, and then getting into this town and then just annihilating it. I mean, we don't get much of that, but.
Massive fucking beast. But I like, though, like it starts to look like it's gonna fucking lay down and fucking die, and then like it feels like it's like in the midst of like I'm dying, and then just like roars. Like it feels like it's dying, and then just like roars back to life and makes this fucking big roar that he's like, I'm sure the fucking people in Traben heard it, and he's like, I bet you the people in Imre heard it. And, you know, you get that roar that just fucking rumbles through your body. Like seeing, you know, a monkey jerking off another monkey. same thing. And, but yeah, Kavoth's like, oh shit. And then it fucking turns and fucking sees the fire and then fucking just starts barreling towards this town.
Yeah. Yeah, shit, man. I what Fitz was mentioning earlier, just the image of like all these people are like partying, they're drinking around a fire, having fun, and then this fucking dragon shows up that's just massive and meth the fuck out, and it's like it's gonna go fuck your fire that you're all around. Jesus, man. Talk about a buzzkill on your party. Holy shit, that changes the situation real quick.
Yeah. We also get one of the big mysteries, one of the mysteries that I don't have much of an answer to, but it's clearly a pivotal mystery as far as Denna is concerned, is when he scoops her up and he brings her down, and as he's setting her down, he jostles her, and then she starts jostling awake a little bit, and he's like, Denna, and she responds, Mauthen. She muttered around a mouthful of sleep, her eyes barely moving under her lids. That's got to be significant. What does Mauthen mean? M-O-T-E-T-H. That's got to hold some significance. So it could be something where she slurred mother. It could be that. It could be that she was slurring Kavoth's name and it came out as Mauthen. I don't think that's likely. I think it's a foreign language. I think it's a key to who Denna is. I think if we learn what Mauthen means or who Mauthen is, it's going to reveal what the fuck's up with Denna's past. I think it's a pivotal thing we need an answer to, is what the fuck does Mauthen mean? I
was just going to say, I think you're right that she slurred it, and I think she was saying Hotep Jesus.
Yeah.
Gotta be it.
She just left off the Jesus.
Yep.
Mothef. Huh?
Gotta be it.
Yep. Obscure podcaster reference she was going with.
Maybe 3.
Nah, I definitely. This is,
and me and Dan were 2 of them.
This is definitely. Yeah. There's definitely a note I made. I didn't expect you to have an answer to it, but it was definitely a note I made where I'm just like, all right, this is massive. Because it has to be, given how little we know about Denna's history and the state she's in.
Well, there's, like, what I looked at is what has that ETH in it. Like you have the Lethani, you have Metheglin, you have the Omethi, the river by the Aeolian is the Omethi River. And then you have the Lethani, you have Aeth, you have Wraith, you have Sathan, which is one who takes the red, who becomes...
I get the feeling she's talking about an individual, right?
Could be, but...
It feels like that.
It also could be... It also could just be a word. There's multiple, like, and you have... Vachette calls Kavoth a twiggly little skeeth. There's Skaith Te Rata Van. It's a swear Kavoth uses towards Denna's suitor, Kaelin, the lord that we're gonna meet here shortly. He's the one that gives her the harp.
The little poet.
He's the one that mocks Kavoth for playing the trooper's lute when he's in the Aeolian, and that's the time. I think this is in the second book when Kavoth plays the trick on the audience where he plays like the very difficult song, makes it look real simple, and then plays the real simple song, makes it look like the hardest song ever. That was when she brought Kellen, and so he said Skaith, and referring to him. And then there was also Soketh K Siaru Krima Teth 2. How well do you speak Siaru? But that's also the Sohi Keth, and the Krima Teth has also got these TETH letters in it. The ETH is it comes up a lot like in the foreign Siaru. Languages. Oh. It's I don't know what you call the suffix, I guess. It's a suffix of a lot of the foreign languages.
Not just Siaru. It's there's you named like 2 or 3 different ones, didn't you?
There was like the Adem, and there was Siaru, and then there was something else that I don't know what it is at all.
The last example you gave sounded like the closest to me was the Siaru example you just gave. But I mean, it doesn't sound like we have conclusions. To me, it feels like, because of the situation, because of the state she's in, it feels like it's a name. But I don't think it would be her patron. She's not that close to her patron. It feels like it would be like someone who is extraordinarily close to her, like a father figure, a mother figure, a sibling, something like that, a lover, something.
Some people think that it's like you know when they're in the water together, and she tells her little story about the stone when she's like asking Kavoth to listen to the stone, and he's like, what's the stone saying? She tells a little story there, and it's interpreted 2 ways. It's interpreted as her telling a story of the first person that she loved, who kind of just tossed her away, and that's why she's, the way she is because she was tossed away with the first person she loved. Or it could be interpreted as she's talking about Kavoth, and it could be about like, they were getting so close, and then they had their spat, and then he tossed her away like she was nothing. And so it's interpreted multiple ways. I don't think she's talking about like her first love, because that just it doesn't seem like where the story is going, is that she's hung up on her first love.
That story, Dan? I don't recall it.
I'd have to look it up. I mean, we'll come across it. They're in the water together, and she talks about there's a story with the stone. The story is that it comes across as she's talking about, having feelings for someone and then just being tossed away.
I do recall, I mean, one of the main things that we have her backstory with is that ring is very meaningful to her. It feels like that ring was given to her, or is an heirloom from someone that meant something, meant a lot to her. So I don't know. I mean, that's kind of, I'm just trying to pull at things that we know about her. Not that that's going to give us an answer, but yeah, I think this, whatever Moteth is, whatever that ends up meaning, yeah, is going to have a connection to really figuring out who she is, what makes her tick, what what has, what catalyst put her in the position of where Kvothe finds her originally.
Yeah, where she's from, who she is, what happened. Like, there's something significant there. It's not in there just blindly. There's not enough information that I've seen to figure it out, but it's clear that that's important.
What if it means, is it time to get up?
Yep. That's it. You figured
Just
it out.
a word for...
Like,
what if it's...
Snooze. Hit
fuck
the
off or
snooze.
something.
How about
like
this?
that.
How about this? How about this? It's Faye talk for, is it time for our morning meeting? Her Jack in the Box, stuff bleeding through.
Yeah.
She's just always like, wait, is it time? Is it time to get the troops together and talk about, the sales today?
It's like drop the hash browns or put the eggs on.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. Drop the hash browns. There it is.
Yeah.
That's it.
So
That's it, man.
You got any more brain busters, Dan?
Yeah, it's Faye for fucking drop the hash browns in the fryer.
Yeah.
It's always on her mind, man. That's why she can't sleep.
Yes. Hash browns. What?
You're gonna burn them.
Hash browns. Burger. French fries. Double order.
No mustard. No mustard.
Oh man. But yeah, then he starts heading off. I do like that, he grabs his shit and turns on his sympathy lamp, picks up his hatchet, and he just takes off on a run. I had to kill a dragon. And I had a dragon to kill. And then he's like, I ran madly through the woods, the light from my sympathy lamp bobbing wildly, revealing obstacles ahead of me, bare moments before I was on top of them. Small wonder that I fell tumbling down the hill, ass over tea kettle. But I love I like the details that Rothfuss likes to add, where it's like not just I took off, to get the dragon, and then I caught up to it. He's like, I took off, and then I'm running down a hill. It's dark at night. I can't see shit, and so of course, like I fucking fall over, fucking roll over, drop everything, lose my hatchet. I pick it up, take off running again, fall over again. Fucking he's got all these. It's similar to like when he's going to rescue Fella, where like he jumps through the fire and he just doesn't just like hit the ground perfectly and then run up to her. Like, nah, he fucking jumps through the fire, bangs into a fucking table, hurts himself and shit. And like he has those little awkward touches in there that give it a little bit more of a realistic feel to it.
Yeah, absolutely. It makes it more real, and it's perfectly placed too, because it's like, what does he say? I had a dragon to kill. Like, he's Mr. Badass, and then he falls down, loses half his shit, falls down again. It's like,
I had a dragon to kill. Oh, shit. Oh, fucking god damn it.
Yeah, it makes it much more realistic, which, if you like that sort of thing, if you like stories that seem real, if that's your thing.
If they're true to life, Tim, is that what you're getting at?
Yeah.
It's feeling worn.
You wouldn't get
Fitz,
that reference.
feeling very worn. Feeling very worn.
I want to make sure you get it this time.
Tim finally in episode 20, he's like, all right, this is getting old. It's been happening for 20 episodes. He didn't realize it until last episode, and now it's getting old. But then he's like, I couldn't see the draccus, but I could hear the great crunching it made as it rolled into the wreckage of a burning house. I saw a gush of blue flame rise high above the rooftops and heard it roar again. The sound made me sweat. Who knew what was going through its drug-addled mind right now? I fucking love that it's a methed out dragon, and it's a meth dragon that he got fucking drugged out of its fucking mind. Like, he fucking gave it the last fucking its last fucking coke binge that it's ever gonna go on. He gave it the great fucking coke binge possible, and he's fucking going out fucking on a high.
Yeah, he helped
and
it
it's
catch
just
its
destroying
dragon.
this fucking place.
He helped the draccus catch its dragon.
Well, yeah, that, and he also made his task extraordinarily difficult.
Yeah.
You know, like getting this thing all riled up. Like, good luck wrangling him in now.
Well, you get that Kavoth snapping into being the fucking badass that he is, where he's like, and just like that, I knew what I had to do. It was like I had suddenly stepped onto his stage. Fear and hesitation left me. All that remained was for me to play my part.
So that there's a couple things about that. First of all, it says a lot about Kavoth, but what we've talked about before in terms of the fatefulness, that he's playing a role, right? That maybe he's being pulled by the Aemir, maybe he's being pulled by the Chandrian. In this, it would feel more like, being pulled by forces of good. But I mean, it's really an emphasis here. All that remained for me was to play my part. Now, with his background as a Dimaru and everything else, and this is the situation that I've been prepared for, there is that. But there's also this feeling that seems, to me at least, to get emphasized. That is emphasized here, that if that's the case, if he is a tool to be wielded, this is a perfect example of it, or a really good example of it. And very plainly stated as well.
Yeah, I mean, if I don't see any, I mean, you could paint it where, like, okay, he was stabbed, then he happened to be in this fucking bar when they mentioned that shit, and he goes to this town to search Chandrian. Had none of that happen, this draccus likely would have fell on this town shortly, after this fact. Obviously, he pointed it like a fucking arrow directly at the fucking town when he got it all drugged up, but had he never showed up there, that draccus likely would have fell on that town and would have fucking wreaked havoc, because it ate all the last trees when he was there in town. So it ate all the rest of those trees. So it would have been looking for more and likely came fucking barreling through that fucking town at some point anyway. So the fact that he was there probably saved that town. Even though he fucked the town up when he got it all fucking drugged up, he didn't perfectly save the town. Had he never showed up, it probably would have been much worse.
In the coincidence of the tinker, him coming upon the tinker on his way in, that backs up what you're saying too, Tim.
Yeah, I mean, trying to lay down the breadcrumbs that leads him to this, it lends to it a bit less, as being credible. But it's just the way he says it here. I mean, it's very much, it very much points in that direction, So I think it feels like it'd be a little silly to ignore,
But you had asked what a heat eater was, and this is your best explanation of a heat eater. So he picks up a shingle, and he finds like a cistern, and he binds the fire on the shingle to the fires that are burning all the houses. He binds those together, and then he sticks it, writes some runes on it, and then he sticks it into the cistern, and then sticks a knife in to hold it under the water and below the water in the cistern, so that the fire is getting quenched.
Yeah, it's pretty great. One little thing that I liked a lot is, as he gets up there, he gets to the top of the cistern and whispers a breathless thanks to whoever had left it open to the sky. Those little tangible things are really, really great, because if not, this could be a problem, and there's probably a lot of cisterns that are covered. So that would beg sort of suggest the question of, is it open? Why would it be open? But this is perfect. And it's the same thing I thought when I asked you about how a heat eater works. It's perfect. I mean, and he does it all in an instant.
Yeah,
it's like without thinking.
Starting off with this instance of his sympathy use, this sequence of 2 and 3 and I think 4 times using sympathy is just excellent. I thought
Yeah.
You know, with the build up of it, you know, and using it in such a heated moment, no pun intended. It's just like, man, it's just brilliant writing. It really is. I mean, not only the you know, coming up with the concepts, which we continually talk about how brilliant they are and how they build on themselves, but just in use at this point, you know, fleshing out this great heroic act of Kvothe and the, you know, doubling and tripling down on here's how he created his heroism is he used sympathy in these ways that were perfect at this time. And anyway, it was just really an exciting event.
Yeah, no, it's a pretty tremendous culmination of so many factors. You know, how much he's learned, how much he's capable of, his instincts, him being a hero. I mean, all of it comes together. And it's one of those instances that stick out in my mind so starkly that when he follows his instincts and doesn't really think so much, he fucking does it. He's the hero. You know, when he just acts. And that's what he does here. He acts very, very instinctively and utilizes the skills that he has cultivated over time. It's freaking great, man. Speaking it reads really, really fast.
Yeah, speaking of his experience, that part when he's running across the roofs and he jumps on the wrong roof and slips, so he kicks his shoes off. I think we've talked about it before, but that was just you know, brought you back to the mean streets of Tarbean and running around shoeless.
Yeah, it's a great callback, man.
Yeah.
It's really good. It's one of those. It's subtle. He didn't have to say much, but you immediately piece it together to that time of his past. Yeah, it's great.
The whole end of the chapter is fucking awesome. I mean, like it's cool when the way he kind of he doesn't put out the fire, but the way he gets the fire under control, where they can kind of fucking put it out a little easier.
The visuals,
but then like he
man.
jumps down and he takes the rest of the dinner resin, fucking pours some liquor on it, lights it on fire, then takes a piece of the, you know, climbs up the tree, jumps to that fucking church roof, and then he lights that branch on fire, and then fucking the lights, you know, uses sympathy to light that entire tree on fire. And draccus fucking sees it and goes fucking barreling towards it.
Those little details are so great. And what's so great about how the tree lights, the oak tree below burst into sudden brilliant flame. It flamed brighter than 1,000 torches as all its leaves caught fire at the same time. So when you sort of picture that, it's one thing for a tree to, you know, be lit quickly, but the visualization of every leaf at the same time. I mean, it's like, whoa, shit. So I mean, dude, if you want this dude to be a legend, he's on top of a fucking church, which is the biggest building in the town. There's a massive dragon tearing the whole place apart. This dude's jumping from rooftop to rooftop like fucking, I don't know, some trapeze artist. Gets in this tree, does this magical act. I mean, fuck, man. He's definitely he's got some showmanship going on here, man.
When that tree lights on fire and they talk about like it, just all those things, it reminds me of like the videos of the guys that pour too much gas on a fire and then they light it and it's just boom, and then just like an explosion where they get blown back. It's like that fucking just immediate, just like whoops. Like stupid, huge mistake.
Those are actually great because it is like do this, and then it's one of those situations where like the second you realize this was a bad idea, it's the worst idea you've ever had your entire life.
Yeah. They're thinking they're lighting the liquid, not realizing it's the fucking gas.
Oh man!
Like, I just need more liquid. Like, no, dude, those fumes are everywhere, buddy. You're gonna fucking blow your nips off.
Nips again. Jesus. But
light this gasoline and blast my nips.
But then I like too the aspect of when he's like, I took a deep breath and shook my head, trying to clear away some of the sluggishness I felt. I'd performed 2 rather substantial pieces of sympathy in quick succession and was feeling rather thick-headed because of it. I like that aspect of it.
Yeah.
That it brings in, how difficult what he's doing is. It brings it back to, like, okay, he's doing all these crazy things, but, like, keep in mind there are limitations to what he's doing. He can't just go on forever. And so it brings those limitations to your mind. And then he's like, but as they say, third time pays for all. I broke my mind into 2 pieces, then with some difficulty into a third. Nothing less than a triple binding would do for this. As the draccus worked his jaw trying to swallow the sticky mass of resin, I fumbled in my travel sack for the heavy black scale. Then I brought the loading stone out from my cloak. I spoke my bindings clearly and focused my alar. I brought the scale and the stone up in front of me until I could feel the tugging at each other. I concentrated, focused. I let go of the loading stone. It shot towards the iron scale. Below my feet was an explosion of stone as the great iron wheel tore free from the church wall. A ton of wrought iron fell. If anyone had been watching, they would have noticed that the wheel fell faster than gravity would account for. They would have noticed that it fell at an angle, almost as if it were drawn to the draccus, almost as if Telu himself steered it toward the beast with a vengeful hand. But there was no one there to see the truth of things, and there was no God guiding it, only me. That's some phenomenal fucking writing.
Yeah, it really is.
So, Fitz, are you going to say it, or do I have to?
Go ahead.
It was Telu did it.
I mean, clearly. He is.
No.
Clearly.
Nope.
Telu. I mean, this is as clear.
So the reason why I let you say it, Tim, is because this is one of the chances I get to tell you that it's just not true. He immediately, after that, says, it wasn't Telu.
Only me.
It wasn't Telu. There was no God. It was me, Kavoth.
Yeah, you stupid idiot, Tim. You're so dumb. You're so stupid.
Not true to life, Tim. Not true to life at all.
Oh, my God. Okay. Well, one of my favorite things, and this happens a number of times with Kavoth, and this kind of speaks to what Dan was talking about earlier, where he falls down the hill, is in the next chapter, which it's right here. So after his heroic act, he feels a little smug. Said he has one long moment of exhausted pure relief. The autumn air was fresh. Feeling rather smug, I tucked the scale and loading stone back into my travel sack. I drew a deep breath and looked out over the town I had saved. So, he's got hands on hips.
Yeah.
His cloak
blasting those nips out. Yeah. And then the whole fucking church falls from under him, and he looks like a jackass falling to the ground.
Fucking falls, bangs his head.
Oh yeah, no,
knocks
he
himself out.
Yeah, he tries to grab the tree, but it snaps underneath him, so he tumbles through the tree, falls down.
Yeah, you can
strikes
just
his
picture him just like fucking, just like flopping, hitting branches, like falling all boom, 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 boom.
I love
just smacks his head on the ground.
No, I love that picture though of like. He does his pose.
Fucking like Superman does a Superman pose with
exactly.
his arms on his side, fucking chest out.
Yeah.
Like, I saved all of you. Oh, shit!
Yeah. But it's classic Kavoth, dude. On top of the world to, falling and getting knocked unconscious. Up and down.
Yeah, then coming to, like, where the hell am I?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like you said, Rothfuss is sadistic. He likes to fucking kick this dude in the teeth every time he gives him a good moment. Are you feeling good about yourself? How about this? How about if I kick you as hard as I can right in the balls? Does that feel good?
How about I kick
Still feel
an
good?
entire building out from under you?
Yeah.
Yeah, you just saved all these people, but that building's coming down, so good luck, saving yourself.
So, hey, Dan, we're closing in on the end of this book, man. Let's kind of walk us through what we have coming up.
I don't know exactly how far we'll get. I know the next chapter he's gonna have his recovery in the place. He's gonna scare the shit out of the fucking people when he burns the fucking coin into the bar, and he's going to meet the little girl who's gonna give him the vase, which we've talked about a shit ton. So we're finally gonna get the vase in the story. Then he heads back to Imre. he'll see Denna had gotten back on her own. Again, shows how resourceful she is. She gets back on her own. She finds some other fucking dude who she could fucking take advantage of. He brings her back. And then he's got to make his apologies for dipping out. Like, finds out that, Will and Sim had felt like were worried that he got killed by fucking those guys that tried to rob him or kill him. And so, yeah, he finds out, like,
and he
basically people care about him.
And he comes back a celeb, basically. I mean, he's already got a legend. He's got a legendary status around there, but Debbie helps.
Well, no, he doesn't come back as a celeb. No one knows about it.
Yeah, but doesn't Debbie spread the rumor about what he did to the guys that tried to kill him? There's that.
I don't know if they talk about that, though. Yeah. I mean, I assume she probably did, but I don't know if they ever talk about that. And obviously, that story does spread around, but I don't know if they mention it in the upcoming chapters. It's possible. I don't know, though. But yeah, that's basically where we'll get. We'll end. We got 2 more episodes, and we'll be done with the first book.
Man, goes fast.
Yeah. I mean, it's possible we'll get to him calling the name of the wind. I just don't remember how many chapters ahead when he calls the name of the wind, but it's either next episode or the last episode when he calls the name of the wind. So it's one of the 2.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Looking forward to that.
Yeah. Yeah, this is one of those distinct. The draccus story is one of those things that, I mean, once you read through it once, you never forget it.
Yeah,
it sticks in your mind forever. This whole that whole thing. It's funny too because like this, like with the fishery, like with the song when he runs into Denna and she sings the other part. It's something that, I mean, the details are so great that you don't parse out every single detail, but it's masterfully written. It's fantastic. It moves quickly, but it stops at the right points. It gives you a moment of breath at the right points, and it's fucking great.
Yeah, and one of the things besides the stylish writing that he has, the visualizations that he presents. I mean, you talk about you just talked about how the stories stick with you like an anchor. I see the stories when you said. When Denna joined him in song, I pictured the stage, the blacked out audience, the lights. You know what I'm saying? Just he just has such. I
always for that moment in particular, I always feel the hesitation. That hesitation where it's like, is this person going to join in the song? I always feel that moment in particular.
Yeah.
You always feel like, to me, it's like that bated breath moment. And with the draccus, it's kind of like, I always picture when he takes that knife and stabs the scale into the water, the cistern, and just those visual images.
Yeah, the tree's
fire.
Well,
that too. There's so much of it, but it's like the fire just burning this whole town and then just getting sucked away like a vacuum. It's fucking awesome, man. And then everything that comes from that, and then the wheel coming down, and the fact that ties in with the Telu story with Menda and everything. It's great, man.
Yeah, I think most people probably like the first book the best. I like the second book the best, but I think most people like the first book the best. And I mean, there's a lot of reason to like it. There's a lot of good about it.
I debated it in my mind when I was reading back through it this time, and then I got to the second book, and I think I texted you. I was like, "Yeah, second book's better." But yeah. I wasn't, when I was reading back through the first book again, I'm like, man, I remember a lot of cool things from the second book, but I don't really. But yeah, there's so much more. I mean, it's more pages, right? And he's building off of everything he's done prior, and that's the big thing that you always have of the first book. The first season of a show, it's like it's all new, and he gets to create all of this for us, and it's all new, so it has that feeling of it being new. But I mean, he's masterful, because with book 2, it's not as if he doesn't reward us for what we already know.
Yeah, he lays a great foundation in the first book, and there's a lot of great story in the first book, but once that foundation is already laid, he's able to build something really impressive with book 2. So I'm looking forward once we finish up with book 1. I'm looking forward to diving into book 2 because there's a lot of great stuff.
Yeah, I can't wait.
Yeah, true to life, right, Fitz?
True to life, very
Yes.
true to life.
If we're talking about things that we look forward to,
Lot of stuff to blow some nips off.
No, we
Lot
just
of
say
shit pants moments.
you just say it all the time. It doesn't matter if it connects to anything. You just say, "Yep, true to life."
no.
True to life.
Only if,
And so it'd be
only
like,
if
man, it
your
kinda
life
feels-
doesn't connect to anything.
You'd be like, I know it's a Monday, but it kind of feels like a Friday. Yep, true to life.
Get the feeling, man. You got to go with it.
Hey, Kavoth stabs a guy, stabs a dead body in the eye. It fucking stabs another guy 500 feet away in the eye. Very,
Very
true to life. True to
One
life.
of the most significant moments in the book, and the reason being
Well,
because it was so so true.
when you had like this just amazing sex with an immortal fucking goddess. It's very true to
hey
life.
man, the whole time
Well,
I read
the-
that chapter, I was
the
like,
the
oh
stabbing-
yeah, Kavoth, I've been there.
the
Yeah.
stab, yeah, the
Been
stabbing,
there, done that.
the stabbing the eye, dude. That's the stink eye.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very, very true to life.
Not the crook eye.
Right?
Yeah.
Not the crook
No,
eye.
I don't know what the crook. Yeah, the crook. I don't know. I think the crook eye is like a pirate face or some shit. I don't know. That's something. Old the Pags. That's something he does. He does the.
What does
crook
that?
eye.
What does that make having sex with Felurian? What is that like? Now it's like watching porn. It's like that's the where we're taking stabbing in the eye is to giving stink eye. I think that we're lowering the true to life feature of having sex with a goddess.
No, I think what we're
to
doing.
watching porn in a dark room by yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's okay. Well, and that's what Kavoth says. Yeah, you're all right.
Yeah. Yeah, you're
Yeah.
okay. It's all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're all right. You're. It was good. It was pretty nice. It was nice.
His it also makes his experience with the Cathay more true to something like like some kid up in a tree who lies a lot. Just a little brat.
I like the. I like yeah. I like the idea that with Felurian, he's like, yeah, it was pretty good. She's like, pretty amazing, huh? Yeah, it's pretty good.
It's all right. It was like this one time when I was filling my car up with gas, and it stopped at $20 exactly. $20 even. No change whatsoever. Same thing.
It was like that. It was like
Fucking
that.
amazing moment.
Very true to life. Rothfuss does it again.
It was like it's like a clean poop.
Yeah.
Now you take a poop, you got to wipe.
I wiped
nothing
there.
Oh my god,
Nothing.
perfect. It was like that, Felurian. It was like that. You're special.
You're like cutting a turd clean off. Jeez. All right.
All right, guys.
Always ending on a strong note.
Chapter 82 coming up, guys. So come back next time. I'll try to reel these guys in. Enough of that poop talk.
Yeah. We need more reeling in. You need to say that more. You don't say that enough. You need to reel everybody in, like we're fucking fish on a line.
Yep, reel them in. Let's get back. Let's get back to true to life scenarios, guys.
Oh god,
We'll work on
these the sayings. I hate these sayings. Hate them.
All right. Well, peace out, folks.